What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Running late, but it happens. But we in here, we ready to go. I think Zero is in the back chat. It says boardroom Pookie. I don't know if Zero trolling me with that name, but I'm about to get back to him. I'm about to bring him up in a little bit, see what's going on. Jedi Mac in the building. What's up? And shout out to the early bird squad. Oh shit! How the hell does anybody have this link? Have I been hacked? Hey, what's this?
What's up?
Man, quit playing.
No, I had this. I set this up last night when I was over at Complex Spot. Boardroom Pookie is basically like you know how dudes be looking for that Nawalt for that unicorn.
Oh, okay.
This the unicorn for chicks. they want the boardroom Pookie. He's a mystical nigga. He don't exist.
Man, I was like, what in the hell is going on here? I'm like, I know I ain't put the link in the chat. I know I only sent it to one person, but I was like, this don't look like it's Zero up in here, but all right. All right. All right, we got Zero in the building. We got Zero in the building as a boardroom Pookie. Anyway, as I was saying, shout out to the early bird squad, even though we ain't that early today. Jedi Mac in the building, Mr. Shane Vicious, unreasonable man. What's going on? Chief FB, no, Chief BD. My bad, I'm looking at that all wrong. All wrong. I'm sleepy and unprepared today. I feel bad. I feel bad. I was up late for no damn reason. I don't know why. I couldn't sleep because I fucked up and took a nap.
Well,
Fucked up.
I got some show notes if you want.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. We can rock off that.
Uh,
I pieced together, some questions and stuff like that. I was doing that real quick while I was setting up. But definitely, if you got a script or something that we can go on, we can bounce off that, and I could slip in my little questions here and there, and we can make something out of this. But then we
okay.
could do it like that. But Mr. Shane Vicious, what's going on? Hey yo, yeah, yes. He is credited for the title. So I was like, we got to change the title because I want to use well, we're gonna end up saying feminism, but I don't want to put it in the title
Yeah, you
no
definitely don't want it
more,
in the title.
no more. So yeah, so we went with Zero versus Hope. That's what we changed it to. It's in the. I don't know if that's gonna be a problem. It's in the thumbnail, but we should see. We should see. I might even start changing that thumbnail. But D-Rock Den in the building, Black Wolf, New in the building. What's going on? Going on. Who else we got in here? Perfect Blackness. What's good? Brian Tolbert. What's going on? Yeah, let me know if my mic sounding clear. I don't know if it's. I was told it was low yesterday. I didn't want to turn the gain up too much because like I get louder, but then the voice sound funny. So I'm not 100% sure what I should do with this. I'm gonna get back with Kuda. I think when Kuda set up my mic, he had me speaking to it and was telling me to tweak it while I was talking, but I think my mouth was so close to the mic that he had me tweak it too low. So I'm trying to. I don't know where that perfect sweet spot is again, but I'll have to figure that one out. I'll have to figure that one out. But I think that covers everybody that made it in bright and early. Appreciate all of y'all for coming through. See Sir Tyson in the building, Jennisville. I still got a new Patreon that I haven't shouted out yet. That I gotta make sure I get to that later on. I think first name is Patrick, last name is Jay. Don't want to put out your government name. But Brenda W, what's going on? Naima, what's going on? And Ty City in the building. What's up, Ty City? And without further ado, we about to go to Zero. Well, you said you got some show notes. Well, I'll save my question. My first question was gonna be about some damn sex dolls. So
Oh man,
we
we
can
back on that. Yeah.
we can go right to your show notes. I don't want to jump it off with sex dolls.
I mean, We can, I mean, we can briefly touch on it. The whole point of it is leverage. It's not like, that's the point of it. It's leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you need. You need your fucking leverage back, and the only way to get it is to take drastic measures. That's a drastic measure. But the thing is, so many men will take part in it that it will give the rest of people leverage. Even the people that even take part in it, it gives them leverage. And then you go back to then everything go back to normal. The thing is, you have to force people to do shit. Pain is a very, very strong motivator. When you don't have a choice, you'll do some shit.
See, now it's funny because you took it right where I wanted to take it. Because I was, I it's interesting to talk about the dudes who I guess have some emotional yearning and that's why they get in full blown relationships, not just using it as a sex toy, but
Right.
no, they're actually cuddling with it. Like it's they're emotionally attached to it. But the area where I mean that's interesting to me in a castaway type of way, like Tom Hanks when he was talking to Wilson. Like
Yeah.
that's interesting to talk about. But you took it where I kind of wanted to take it, where how just how much do you view that as like a leverage, a damn near power play against feminism, to where if so many men, especially, not the top of the top of men, in terms of, the guys that women, just want to have sex with. I'm
Right.
talking about the guys that they have traditionally depended on for important shit. These were the guys
Right.
that, that average and below average women married.
Right. But
And,
the thing is, they're not doing that anymore. So they're not getting what they want anyway. What
mm-hmm.
difference does it make? The thing is, it's all about gaining power. You need your leverage, and the only way to get power is you have to take it, and that's a way to do it. It's not the only way to do it.
Yeah.
In fact, just the threat of it alone would be enough. I mean, literally, the threat of it alone. Okay, well, think about this, right? So you talking about
Hold
how
on.
dudes
Parlay PJ, the pocket pussy not gonna cuddle with you at night though. See, that's
exactly.
the thing. You can't just go with a pocket. You got to get the whole thing. You gotta be able to cuddle and stroke her hair and all of that, man. Anyway. Go ahead, Zero. I'm just
Yeah, so think about it this way. So women have sex robots and shit, but they don't care about form. They don't give a fuck like what you talking about, like with the cuddling. They don't care about that. They just care about getting off because they get off differently than men, but they get off a lot. So when women use sex robots, they replace your sexual function using their robots, which makes it easier for them to control their libido and not give a fuck about you. It makes their decisions easier. Um,
mm,
like they can decide things much easier without that libido hanging over their head. They don't have to think about it. It's just like when women have kids, their decisions are simplified, and it makes sense why they would quote unquote make evil or bad decisions, because it's not evil or bad. It's just when women have kids, their decisions become very, very easy. So they can just default to the welfare of their children and fuck you over, which is why they bail out of marriages at like 80%, because their decisions are easy. They don't even they're not really making the decisions so much as they just default to a position that allows them to simplify all their decisions.
uh-huh.
So that's
Right.
why like you need that type of leverage where you have something that where you can just fall back on and say, well, I don't need you. You know what I mean? So when you do that, your decision becomes easy to leave them.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've heard some, attractive women that have no problem getting a man, coming out against sex dolls, like, because it's like they understand.
Yeah, yeah.
They
The threat
yeah.
of it alone.
Mm-hmm. Johnny Blaze in the building. Thank you for the super chat. He says supporting positive black male media. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Shit. Now let's see. Here I am fucking up. I need coffee. Um, I had forgot what else I wanted to say about the sex dolls and whatnot. But yeah, you said you had some show notes ready to go. Let's hop on that, and you could take it there, and I'll bounce off of that
All right.
while I
Well,
while I
we could
tag
just
the video and whatnot.
Cool. We can just look at like how systems work, right? Like last time we was kind of touching on it when BGS was here. So so think about like all the systems that we use in societies, because systems come at the cost of freedom, because like everybody wants to be free, but freedom comes at a cost. And absolute freedom comes with the cost of being completely responsible for yourself. So you basically on your own if you want to be free. So like some freedom means that you're handing over some of your responsibilities to somebody or something else. You know, that'd be a government, you know, a group of people, or one person. So like societies have made this compromise in order to exist. Like without the compromise of freedom and responsibility, society just can't happen due to what I'm about to explain, using like the male honor system as an example. And there's a lot of other examples just like it, you know, like justice, morality, uh, even dealing with women in relationships, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, we'll scope it down to honor. So, so by default, honor negates freedom. And the reason why is because you're duty bound or honor bound to whatever society that you're a part of to build and maintain it. And then you have to adhere to whatever rules of law or culture that apply to this society, whether you agree to it or not, and whether you like it or not. And once your society has survived past a few generations, you're born into it. So you know the phrase, "I
Hmm.
didn't sign up for this."
Yeah.
See, well, you signed up by being born. So so even in like common circumstance where rules of law and common culture like they change over time. You simply have to default to the honor system of that society no matter what, even if it changes. And the thing is, on the surface,
Hold on,
it
real
does
quick.
not.
Give an example of what, like, what's an honor system of a society? What's a you
No,
say?
like I can be more honorable than you. That
Okay,
that's pretty much the gist of it.
okay.
So so on the surface, that does not sound feasible. Okay, because think about it, you're giving up your freedom to basically do chores. So but think
Hmm.
about how we institute honor, like just honor, the concept of honor. Like again, I can be more honorable than you because it's not voluntary. So what people have done, what humans have done, because you don't see honor anywhere in nature. You don't see honor in fucking gorilla society. You don't see honor in any other society on planet Earth except for humans, because we made it up. It's an imagined order. So think about how we institute honor. Well, we've taken advantage of male dominance instinct, and we made honor a competition. This is why when we say I can be more honorable than you, because men compete over everything. And again, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say men compete over everything. We compete over everything. Like this marriage exists because of male dominance instinct. Like I can be a better husband than you. I can simp harder than you because we're a tournament mating species. I can give more gifts than you. I can make more money than you. I can do this better than you. Literally everything is a competition between men. So what we've done is weaponize that and turned honor into a competition. And then when you appeal to this base instinct, you make honor something that's not an unsolicited chore, and it becomes instead an important internalized value. And when you make something a value, it becomes a system and it runs on autopilot. Because then from then once the competition starts, is I can be more honorable. Is why like samurais and other cultures, like people will fucking die for honor. Like if they feel like
Yeah,
they've
yeah.
dishonored their society, they'll kill themselves. If they feel like they've dishonored whatever thing is in power, they'll just kill themselves versus having to face being dishonored. You know, same thing with disrespect and the rest of it.
Hold on. Let me back up real quick though. You said humans are the only ones that have honor. There's no honor. There's no honor in the animal kingdom. Okay. Among apes, this they have certain, I won't say systems, but like they how do I say this? They kind of they look out for one. It's almost like a you scratch my back, I scratch yours type of thing. Like they look out for each other. Like they'll I don't know, pick insects or whatever off each other. They do shit like that. Like I mean, So it is like a system. I don't know if that would fall under honor, but
No, that's not the same thing.
okay, that's
Hon-
well,
Honor,
that's
honor
more
is
like altruism, or they're altruistic, I think.
well, that would be more like if you care about somebody and you do things because you care about that person or that thing or whatever it is. Like affection is not the same thing as honor. Like what you're talking about is more affection.
Okay.
That is not honor. Honor in the way like for instance the way humans employ honor. Like for instance, what gorilla would kill himself if
Oh no.
something became dishonorable? Like if his life became dishonorable because he failed at a task or some shit. Where would you
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that?
got you. They well, some man, well, I don't know. I think they feel shame. Well, no, that's something different. I was just
Yeah,
thinking,
again,
yeah,
that's not the same thing as
yeah,
honor.
got you. Cause I've
So
seen some shit. I watch a lot of shit with apes. Like if something happened, like they will definitely feel the shame if they were competing for a mate and they lose out. Like you could just see it in their face and their body language where they just like damn, this nigga look just down in the dumps. Like his girl just left him or some
okay,
shit.
think about a beta gorilla, right? That gorilla is basically defeated. He gets his ass whooped for breakfast every day by the alpha gorilla,
Right.
every day, because the alpha has to show him who's in charge every morning and show the women who's in charge every morning.
Ah,
Why wouldn't that beta gorilla just leave? You
yeah.
know what I mean? Because he's there trying to convince one of the gorilla bitches to leave with him,
Oh man.
but then they snitch on him.
And then
You
he
know,
get his ass whooped.
he gets ass whooped again. It's all self. Okay, yeah. Just put it. Yeah, so that's not even altruism. That's self-serving behaviors. Yeah. So yeah, even that gorilla gets his ass whooped anymore. There's no honor in that. He's just there trying to convince a chick to leave with him.
Right, got you. All right,
So
cool. Let me get caught up on these super chats. I was sitting there tagging my video. I don't know what's going on in the chat. I missed a few super chats. Brenda W. What's going on? She said for your coffee. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see who else came through with a super chat. Biscuit 2005. Man, YouTube names are just funny to me, man. How did you come up with Biscuit 2005? I don't know. Anyway, anyway,
okay, Mr. Shane Vicious said there's honor in protecting the human child. It's not, it's not the same thing.
Corner Store Podcast. Good morning, fellas. He says, what happened to the morning intro? LOL. I'm working on another one. I actually got it's a lot coming down the pipeline. Be patient. It's a lot coming. But all right, cool. So we got that covered. Other animals don't have honor. And I like to say other animals because you say that around some folks, they start tripping. And so I used to avoid saying it, but now I just say it. Yes, other animals. Humans are essentially animals. Get over it. I've had this argument with a lot of people.
Yeah, we have that problem with self-aggrandizement. That's like the biggest issue with people.
Yeah. It's like they think because we can tie our shoes and apes can't, that just makes us a completely different
Yeah.
we're aliens now to
And
them.
when you think about it, the only thing that separates us from our cousins is the fact that we have the ability to communicate ideas and we can communicate our ideas and feelings in a way that animals can't. In fact, our only advantage is the fact that we can communicate. We can communicate ideologies and imagination,
Mm-hmm.
and other animals can't. They can't communicate ideologies and imagination. And this is what gave us the advantage in how we became the apex predator. It was one of the reasons how we were able to tame fire. We have to even conceptualize being able to do it. You don't see gorillas you don't see gorillas trying to control fire. And I always mention gorillas because apes are the closest to humans. Like apes and chimpanzees are our closest relatives and shit. So you don't see them trying to tame fire. They don't even have the concept down. I mean, tame it in the way that humans did, where we mobilized it and made it portable, like how we do all technology. Computers went from sitting in big ass rooms with giant tubes to being able to fit in your pocket.
Right.
You know,
I am impressed how some apes use tools to do various things. Like
Yeah,
I am impressed by that. That that's interesting. But
we did
yeah,
the same thing.
yeah, I know, I
And,
know.
and once we learned how to tame fire, that's when we took off. That's when we became the apex predator, because we used to get hunted by species that we wiped out after we got the advantage. It was almost like one of those revenge stories. We get hunted by saber tooths, and as soon as we figured out how to win with fire, we just fucking exterminated them out of spite.
Yeah,
You ate my cousin. That type of shit.
I never thought about it being out of spite. But
No, 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 no. It's not a
that's
spite. I'm making
yeah,
fun of it.
but no practical. No, I would imagine that it was some killing just because these motherfuckers been a threat all this time. When we see them, we
Right.
got them now. That's they ass. Marco Grande came through with a cash app. He says, what is this for? Hope makes old hoes, not hoes, but like hoes,
Yeah.
think their cooch is valuable. Yeah. Thanks, Marco, for the cash app. Appreciate it. I just wanted to click on Keith's uh, comment because it was funny as hell. But
All right.
all right.
I'll finish up the notes
Yeah,
then.
I interrupted you with the
All
asking
right.
about the apes. So that's interesting though, because I read a lot into animals, you know, when I'm watching them and whatnot. And but yeah, no, I agree with you on the honor thing. I just wanted to explore that a little more because they do got feelings. They it's like
Yes.
they experience heartbreak in some type
Yeah.
of way.
But
Yeah, you
again,
know.
honor is one of those things that people, it's an imagined order. It doesn't exist without human imagination.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
that's it. That made it clear right there.
right.
Yeah,
So anyway, I mean, that's the best way I can separate it. So, and it's different from like love and stuff like that, like love for a child and whatnot. It's just like when I think Mr. Shane Ventures mentioned when gorillas internalize love for a human child. Again, that's not the same as honor. That's just a gorilla internalizing,
yeah,
love for a child. So anyway, men is as it relates to like the F word. Men typically weaponize these systems against themselves, especially when like related to women. For example, we're talking about humans being a tournament mating species. So tournament mating via like peacocking and other open displays of advantage, commonly used by men to win women. You see it all around you. But the thing is, winning is always temporary. Always. That's the problem with winning. If you win someone, it's temporary, because if you win by whatever advantage you employed, someone else can do the same thing. This is why relationships are so difficult. The thing is, when you're chosen, that's someone giving themselves over to you, which is a much better deal for men. Which is why the validation system is so regarded, and which is why when you employ game, the game dudes they use the most difficult setting, nightmare mode, which is to use only mouthpiece as the highest form of regard, because even though you're winning, you're doing so in a way that requires her to listen and then decide to give herself over to you without having to provide anything with an obvious tangible advantage like money or genetics and shit. So when you think about it, that's why. So again, you can win, but people understand that if you win something, someone else can win over you, because winning is one of those. It's a competition. So if you can win, I can win. If you can do it, I can do it. I can do it better. Blah blah blah.
yeah,
But again, if someone gives them a gift is forever, winning is temporary. So again, this is why when you think about how game works, again, when you use the most difficult setting, which like I said, is the highest form of regard, because you're basically you're convinced. Convincing is kind of winning, but at the same time, it's like she listens to you and then she decides whether or not she wants to give herself to you. So again, you're not providing anything obvious. It's not obvious. You're not giving an obvious, tangible advantage. You're not leading with your wallet. You're not walking up to her, looking like Shamar Moore and shit. You haven't her make the decision to give herself over to you. You're just doing a little bit of persuasion. So that system, men weaponize against each other. And if you look at the systems that women employ, we talked about earlier, one of the most effective and simple is when they have kids. So again, all of their decisions become simple to a Fisher Price level. They can default to my kids come first. And from there, it's easy. From there, they're on easy mode. It's easy to see why a woman would do anything that they do. It's not evil. It's not bad. Our system is also effeminized, which plays in their favor. But the decision to bail out of marriages and all the rest of that shit is easy because they're defaulting to a decision-making system that's determined for them. All they have to do is say, "My kids come first," and from there, shit, autopilot. So I mean, from there we can, I guess, ask questions and shit like that.
Yeah. Okay. Blitz 7094 says 0. Black women don't make the first move like other races of women. Why is that? I don't know what she means by that. Do you know what he means by they don't make the first move?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They do it all the time. It's not. Yeah, I mean, eye contact is a first move. Body language is a first move.
Okay, I gotta see what you're talking
about. Yeah, they do it all the time. Some of it is not recognizable, but yeah, all women do this. It's not just black women, all of them. I see some people in the chat like Billy Jeff. Okay, you're personalizing it. This is the thing. So Billy Jeff and ARC, they're personalizing this. Don't personalize this. I get it. You want to get to the pussy and get out. I get it. But this is not a personal argument.
Okay, let's go ahead and see. I'm not trying to win a girl over. I'm just trying to get my biological sexual needs, wants, and desires met. Mode 1. Yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, that's that.
Right, they're internalizing this shit already. Like, again, these are systems that people employ.
Yeah, some people, that's one of the hurdles I've been trying to get over with this, with just having these conversations. That when you're talking about things from a broad perspective and giving, a larger social commentary, there's individuals who they don't see it like that. They just
it's
see
always not me.
They just see their own dick, and what they're trying to do with it. That's
right.
it.
In my household, them niggas like, God damn, like, can we just? I talked about that yesterday, like why it's so hard to even have, like, especially the elephant in the room conversations. Them shits is impossible.
Yeah. And hold on, and keep in mind, there is a time and place for. Oh shit, I'm stretching. Damn. All right, told you I had a late night. But there is a time and place for in my household conversation. I do want to point that out. There's a time and place for it. I do believe that a man can run his household. Sometimes it may not, not be a woman living in it, but he can run that motherfucker. We understand marriage and how it works and the marriage laws and this or that or blah blah blah. Not trying to get into that, but yeah, you can definitely run your household. There's a time and place for the in my household conversation. So I'm not. I don't even shit on that concept because there's a lot of value in that. A man can be a man in this country, but there's there's guidelines, rules, stipulations, and things to watch out for. Put it like that. The brother P.Dat in the building. He said female instinct indicates that they are typically won over by words. Effeminate men are raised to believe women as opposed to watching them. I don't know. Yeah, you rocking with that effeminate men?
Okay, well, think about it. Like our whole communication system has been effeminized. Like the way we speak, political correctness is a feminization of language. Diplomacy is a feminization of language. If you look at the way we speak nowadays to each other, even on even at levels like in government and high levels of government, we're always on the side of, like, vague terminology, vague idea, uh, leaving the door open, room for interpretation, that type of thing. And the problem with like a lot of conversation is when you want to get to the bottom of things or solve a problem, logic, reason, and mathematics do not leave a lot of room for interpretation. And people need room for interpretation because it helps hold their psyche together. This is why, like, when you talk about like destroying people's hope, it when you apply like logic that makes someone's beliefs fall apart under any type of scrutiny, it's hard for them to even have a conversation with you.
Right.
Because there's no room for interpretation. Like people who believe things, they interpret it. They interpret what they believe. You have people read the same fucking Bible and come away with like 1,000 different interpretations.
Ooh, so true. So true.
So people need that room. If it was logical, you don't have any room in logic for interpretation. You know.
Yeah, very true.
It's just more difficult.
Black Wolf, I'm not even gonna count. See what you and ARC talked about. Wouldn't even get out of there. Get out of there. That's all I'm saying. Get out of there. But the brother P that came through with another super chat. He says, I guess responding to his last one, I think he's saying, which is why a man must never believe anything a woman says, but watch what she does. Suspend disbelief wisely. Right on, right on. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. One of the questions that I had wrote down. I want your thoughts on this. I heard somebody talking about how feminism is the fault of weak men, and when you think of the idea and the concept of a weak man, that's not necessarily the same type of guy who's in power that was passing certain laws, or you know what I mean. So the concept that feminism is the fault of weak men, I don't buy that. So like, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't either. So the catalyst for feminism's power grab, and it took about 40 years for them to really like get on a roll. The catalyst was the vote. Okay, so the men who gave them the vote were in power. So I mean, they were far from weak. There was a bunch of different. There's a myriad of reasons why they got the vote, but one of the most significant reasons, well, actually, there's two reasons. So you had a bunch of cucks that believe women were equal, and then you had a bunch of men who actually wanted to monetize women. So
explain monetize women.
So you double the workforce.
Okay.
You double the work. So no, it wasn't just weak men. There was a bunch of different reasons why. There's a lot of different reasons why, but the fact of the matter is, once they were able to, start gaining power, they gained power. So, I mean, you can't blame anybody for, and I mean anybody, you can't blame anybody for taking advantage of a situation that's in their favor. And women are no different in that regard. I mean, why do you think a lot of religious orders subjugated women?
Hold your thought real quick. BGS, you said not true. What part's not true? I don't know exactly what was being said when you typed that. I want to see what you think is not true. But anyway, go ahead, Zero.
I know you got a super chat from ARC.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah. Well, hold your thought on what you were saying, but okay, what Zero just explained is, and by the way, shout out to ARC, salute and thanks for the super chat, and always glad when I see you in the chat. Appreciate you very much. What he says, what Zero just explained, is the basis for my explanation of Mode 1 verbal communication style, upfront, specific, and straightforward, versus a Mode 2 verbal communication style, vague and ambiguous. Thank you very much for that. And yeah. I definitely concede the points on on Mode 1 versus Mode 2. The only thing is, a lot of people view Mode 1 as just saying some explicit, over the top, dirty shit. But now that I fully understand that ain't really the case.
Right.
Being upfront, yeah, you should be upfront.
Well,
I think it's still, hold on real quick. I think it's still difficult in them first 5 minutes. That's It's like you got to start out mode 2 and then morph it into mode 1. I think
Thing
that's
is,
what most dudes do. But
this is why Book Allen needs to represent the book, not
get out of there. Get out.
just saying. Because Panel Allen will make you believe that all you have to do is walk up to a chick and whip your dick out and say, "What are we going to do about this?" Book Allen can actually explain it. Panel Allen is Pookie.
Yeah, leave Panel Allen alone. Let him rock. Let him rock.
But, I did want to see what BGS had to say about what wasn't true. But yeah, anyway, there was a myriad of reasons. I did see someone say like war brought men, and yeah. War was another reason. Yeah, there was a lot of reasons why. But you know, but that goes to the point where it's not all weak men. That basically solidifies Bernard's point that it wasn't just weak men that actually gave women that power. It was just a myriad of things that happened. But some of the biggest ones were the fact that once they got the power, I mean, it was just pretty much a wrap from there. You basically, once you have the majority vote, you can just use it to keep gaining power. I mean, that's just how that works. And if you have like 27% of cucks voting along with women, you know, for the thought of getting some pussy, then you know what's funny about that? Feminists don't like feminist men.
Like, you mean like to be? You mean like to be in a relationship with?
Exactly. Feminist women don't like feminist men. Has anyone ever thought about that?
Yeah,
like,
that's
about that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they definitely, if they do end up with one, they definitely view them as weak and more than likely try to walk all over them.
Yeah, but it's hilarious to me that a dude would even fucking take that route when the women that they're trying to like yes dear with don't fucking like them. It's weird. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an ineffective strategy that put I put it like this. If it put you in a weak position, but it was successful and it worked, that's one thing. You know, I'll shout out ARC again, how he said mode 2 is weak but can be effective.
Right.
But I like how he explained that how mode 1 is strong and effective, mode 2 weak and effective. I think mode 3 was weak and ineffective, mode 4 strong but ineffective. Interesting stuff. See, I like Book Allen. See, Book Allen be breaking shit down. But anyway.
So yeah, back to the shits.
And yeah, y'all drop a Zero's link in the chat. Drop link Zero link in the chat. And get the likes up. Get the likes up.
Talking about like the interpretation thing. So one of the big things is like people are only students of history when it's convenient. You'll hear people like reference anthropology concepts and things like that when it supports their point of view or what they're trying to get off. And they do that when it's convenient. I bring up anthropology all the time. I come from that perspective because it's what I studied. So I don't do it when it supports my talking points. I do it all the fucking time. And I think the reason why is because hard science is hard. That's pretty much the answer. when something takes a lot of effort, it just requires you to always be aware of what you're talking about. Like if you bring up vague ideas and stuff like that, you don't have to be aware of what you're thinking about. You just have to basically say what you're feeling. And general feelings are general to everybody, which is why astrology is a thing. So, you know, generalized ideas and generalized feelings are universal, is ubiquitous. So when you're talking about something and you're not using any type of anthropological perspective, you don't have to keep any of that shit in mind. You just go with whatever you understand to be a general sentiment. Like everybody understands pain. So if you bring up something that's relative to that, you'll get people to listen to you because everyone understands it. There's no hard science there. It's just you're just basically talking about a feeling and shit. So it's just easier. It's just really easy to talk about things and only bring up hard science when it suits your point of view, because then you can solidify bullshit. Is what I'm getting to. That's a lot of reasons why a lot of these conversations don't get anywhere either, because you can use hard science mixed in with your bullshit to deflect, to derail, to have like a perceived stronger point. There's a bunch of different shit that you can employ, but the thing is, if people started approaching things from the perspective of this is what it is, and then move on from there, be more pragmatic, basically. What did BJ say a long time ago? I'm an amoral pragmatist. If people actually do that, they would actually move around in life better. It doesn't mean you're lethargic. It doesn't mean any of that shit. It just means that you understand how things work. And if you understand how things work, then you can actually solve problems without collapsing society, even, because you understand that society is important. You know what I mean? You understand how important society is, so you don't want it to go away. You understand how important a free society is, and you don't want that to go away. But you also understand how things work. So then you don't have to go back to fucking religion in order to stagnate evolution and subjugate for the sake of subjugation. People can actually like cooperate in a really effective way once they understand how shit works. The problem is getting over that fucking hurdle. And that is like the toughest hurdle ever, because it's not just it's not just this microcosm of shit that we're going through. This is the whole world that's dealing with this shit.
Yeah. Now I left that no astrology bashing comment up there for the express purpose. Like, have you gotten to an astrology discussion with somebody here on Black YouTube? And like, well, let me just say this. Let me just give my official position. Where the stars were aligned on the day of your birth don't have shit to do with your personality. Can we it blows my mind that people still talk about astrology like it's a thing. The vagueness of the shit. When like I'm okay. I remember one time Sister George was on here. She was talking about astrology, and she was saying, because I'm a Cancer, I've been told, so I'm a Cancer, and she was saying, well, Cancer men tend to be emotional, and I was like, nope, nope. Let me cut you off. I'm the exact opposite of that. I explained before, thought something was wrong with me because I didn't have, emotional reactions. I always would stop and think. Even in a time when I probably should have had an emotional reaction, I would stop and over assess the situation and then make a decision. She thought, she was thinking something was wrong with me because of that. So I'm the exact opposite of emotional. But then she said, yeah, but it could be all on the inside, or it could be emotion that just doesn't show, or it could be okay. So I'm like, you see how you can read them damn horoscopes and make them say whatever the fuck you want to say. If you say that a Cancer, a Gemini man can do backflips, and then a Gemini man says, no, I can't do backflips, then you say, but you could do backflips in your mind, though. It's like they say weird shit. It's,
I think what it is, astrology gets a pass because it ends in ology. That's my theory. That's my theory of going with it. Because if you look at all the other hard sciences, this is like biology,
yep.
and all the rest of them and shit. They end in ology. And astrology is the only bullshit science that ends in ology, so it keeps getting a pass.
Yeah. I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something right there. That ology makes the layperson think that it's a real science.
Right.
That has to be it. That has to be it. Because people swear by astrology.
I mean, if you go through the history of it, though, there is legit. There were so it was one of the first forms. I mean, if you look at like, let's go way back. So Babylon. So before Alexander the Great went over there, they were, you know what zeitgeist is? When two or more people or peoples or groups of peoples are doing the same thing independent
Oh
of each
yeah,
other,
yeah,
same ideas
yeah.
and shit like that. So astrology was going on over here, astronomy was going on over here.
Mm-hmm.
So when Alexander went over to Babylon and fucked their shit up, it's the same thing that always happens. You see what they have in their culture, you take what you like and you discard what you don't. So they were like, "Oh shit, you guys are looking at the stars too. Well, let's see what you're doing." So they mixed the two sciences, and then over time, the Greeks were like, "I don't really like this shit." So we're just astronomy started to become more mathematical than astrology, so the two had to separate.
Mm.
That's just how that worked. I mean, I'm nutshelling it. There's a lot more detail, but that's the bottom line to it. Like they were studying astrology over in Babylon, looking at the stars and how it related to all of that. And then if you look at what the Greeks were doing, they were studying astronomy in a more mathematical, actually not even a more mathematical nature at the time. They're actually kind of on the same page because neither civilization really had the math to make sense of the stars, you know. But when Alexander went over to Babylon and fucked their shit up and took their stuff, they basically were like, "Oh man, you guys are doing the same thing we're doing. Let's see how we compare and see if we can get some notes and shit like that." So when they took both of them back to their back to Greece again, over time, at first it was both together, and then over time astronomy became the default because there was just more math involved and more hard science, and they were discovering more things. So that kind of outperformed astrology, and then they just discarded it, but it stuck around because again there was legitimate science to it when in the beginning, but that science is out. It's outdated. And it's transformed into something else. It's like for instance in real life, people will like mistake me for a Leo all the time, and I'm not. I'm a Pisces.
To me, that even sound funny. People mistake me for a Leo. I don't even know how people like. How do? Well, let me. I got some heavy hitting super chats. Let me read those. I want to ask you how the hell do somebody mistake you for a Leo? But shout out to the angry man in the building. Came through with a super chat. He says that's because feminism is a crock of ish. It's the epitome of gaslighting, extrapolated to an ideology with the intention of keeping men in a state of confusion, thus nullifying nullifying men's natural state of dominance. Good shit, good shit. Thank you, angry man, for the super chat. Nobody could disagree with those statements there. Gabe A in the building. What's up? And salute to Gabe A. Came through with a heavy-handed super chat. Says, "I'm late, but I appreciate your resolving the last few from a few days ago. Not trying to rehash those. Thank you. Let's not rehash nothing. Just a salute to the way you handled it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate the super chat and the support. Gabe A. Salute, salute, salute. Mr. Shane Vicious. Babylon fell long before Alexander. Persia, maybe? You the history buff. What are you talking about?
Not sure. Um, I'm gonna have to do my research again, but I'm like 90% sure Alexander the Great was the one that went over there and pushed their shit in, like dead ass.
Push they shit in, dead ass. I don't that.
That's a military term. Push your shit in.
No, no, I'm familiar with push the shit in. I just was being a dork and how you put dead ass after push shit in. You ain't even see what you did there.
Dude. Oh, fuck.
You
Pause.
choking me. Push they shit in, comma, dead ass. Oh man.
Oh, shit.
God damn. Dollar Watcher said, I think most people need a hard reset. They got too much corrupt data that need to be wiped out and they need to be upgraded. All right. Yeah, we gonna wrap up the interview on that. I mean, go ahead. Go ahead and say what you're about to say. I'm about to drop the link. But
Okay,
go
cool. So Hittites first. Okay.
What'd you say?
Yeah, BGS said Hittites first. So yeah, I'm gonna defer to him on that because he's lived longer than me. He studied this shit longer than me. So I know what I studied in college, but that's still not like the end all. You know.
Oh man, I get the feeling we thought that was funnier than what it actually was. But
That shit, because it went right over me. I didn't even think about it until after you said it. I was like,
push they shit in dead ass. Oh, shit. Tell Zero Dr. Dre's wife is using the Duluth model to get around their prenup. Interesting.
oh yeah. I figured she was. I figured that was gonna happen. I said the other day, I was like, yo, I hope his prenup holds up. Who was I talking to when I said I hope his prenup holds up? Because I already knew they was gonna default to that fucking I signed this under duress.
Yes. It's always under duress.
I signed it, I wasn't gonna get married.
It's always under duress.
You know what's
Hey,
hilarious?
Bernard, I'm sorry to like burst in the door like this. I know I say I hate when people do this, but can you give me like a minute and a half real quick? I'm about to take off on a run with these hounds, but I wanted to hop in and because you and Zero are talking about the astrology shit.
Oh, go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
Real quick, because I was putting something in the chat. Are you guys familiar with a term called anthropomorphism?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So that's where, because astrology started first before astronomy, because it was basically like our ancestors trying to understand the sun because they were agricultural people. So they needed to understand when the fucking sun was going to come out. Right. So they needed the seasons and shit like that. So the stars themselves, because they never left Earth, they basically had to make stories about the stars. Right. And then make them like men with bow and arrows and fucking chariots going across the sky. Because they didn't understand celestial, bodies and shit like that, right? So that's where astrology actually comes from, and then that's actually where like your Bible and shit comes from, because you think about the law of 12, right? Because if you believe in God's son, who is really God, and then the 12 constellations surrounding the sun are the disciples, right? Following the sun or following God's son. So apparently that's where fucking religion comes from, right? Because ancient Egyptians worship the sun, gods like Ra and shit like that. So God was basically, they were worshiping the sun. That's where all fucking religions come from, because sun is the life bringer, the bringer of life, right? Life begins and ends with God's son.
Yeah, but multiple societies had multiple religions even before like the agricultural age. There were there were a bunch of
but it all worshipped the sun.
societies. There were societies that didn't even worship the sun at all. I mean, if you look at like
some societies that were based on moon worship.
Yeah, there were societies that were based on fucking animism.
What is the opposite of the sun? Is the night, which is set.
No, what I'm talking about is there were societies that actually believed in animism, where you humanize, where you deify like objects and animals and shit that had nothing to do with the sun or moon.
Yeah,
so
there were societies that are based on anthropomorphism. Both of them are based on.
I was really more talking about modern paganistic religions, but
okay, I got you. So
it's describing human characteristics through things that aren't human.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was talking more like I know there's some offsets, but just generally the modern religion is sun-based worship, if you will.
Right. So
and then you're going through like years of succession. That's why like that Mayan calendar, when they were like, 2012 and all that shit, when really they were just describing the next year's succession, because before you were in the age of Pisces, right? So you were, you heard that song Aquarius,
right?
Like everything that's going on in the world right now, Bernard. I was talking about this on your panel, the age of Aquarius. You're going through the great unrest right now. All this shit was in the cards. That song Aquarius. This is the age of enlightenment. The age of air, the age of knowledge, the age of humanism. You're in it right now.
We had one of those before.
But we had those. Here's the thing. Here's one of my things with this. Is
I'll let you guys argue. I appreciate you guys.
No problem, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
How come I have to tell you again what we were kind of basically alluding to earlier?
Hold your thought, Judge Melody. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. And Cool Jen, want to make sure I ain't forget you because I know you dropped one on me and I missed it the last time. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. All right, go ahead, Zero. You got the mic.
No, that's
not Zero,
Judge.
not Judge. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry.
That's one of the so one of the easiest things for me. One of the simplest things I would believe is if this is an actual science is in most applications of science you can front door, you can back door, right? Because you can check your work. Okay, so you can come to the solution, you can back out of it to figure out of how you've got to the solution and if it's accurate. Now, if we're utilizing astrology as this, how come one, we won't say how come one has to provide what their sign is to be determined, to have the characteristics determined for it and not the characteristics determine what the sign is? So why can't you tell me what my sign is? Why? And by the characteristics that are displayed by the subject,
because you have three parts. You have 3 parts to your psyche, and if you use Jungian psychology and astrology together, you can actually understand it. You have 3 parts to your psyche. You have your mask, which is which Jung prescribed as what people see, what you filter your thoughts and actions through. You have your sun, your sun sign, which is your ego, and you have your moon, which is your emotions. And all 3 parts make up who you are. Huh?
But you're conflating areas of studies that were never meant to be conflated.
No, you're not.
Okay. Well,
that's
that's determinate. That's definitive, right?
No, it's not.
I say it is. You say it's not. So we've reached an impasse.
No, it's not really. Okay, you say you've reached an impasse because you haven't studied it. That's the whole thing. How can you determine something's not real?
I haven't studied alchemy, sir. I haven't studied alchemy either.
Well, alchemy you study every day. It's called chemistry.
It's chemistry.
No, chemistry is chemistry. Alchemy is something.
No, alchemy is chemistry.
No, alchemy is the transmutation of. Basically modern day alchemy is metallurgy. Okay, it's metallurgy and chemistry.
But now you're equating astronomy to astrology, and they're not the same thing.
One second. Alchemy and chemistry are the same thing. You can prove this because fire changes the chemistry of food.
Yeah,
that's the simplest way to do it.
No,
again,
these are early understandings of sciences. These are early understandings of sciences and modern understanding of sciences. Just because it's related to an early understanding of a scientific principle that's been refined through does not make them equate. Does not equate them.
Right, but the simplest way to do it is to just apply fire to a food, and you can change the chemistry of it.
If you actually really understand the actual basis of actually chemistry and go on down into particle physics, it becomes alchemy. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about fields, and basically alchemy has always said that, even back then. Now, just like any other science, like medicine or anything like this, you always have a basis of where it started, and as your tools get better, guess what happens? You refine that science. But alchemy and chemistry are the same thing, because guess what? That's I found that out because that was my field of study. And basically, alchemy is basically the same thing. Now, your tools get better, of course. But the thing is, if you go all the way down to fields and down to subatomic particles that become fields, then alchemy and chemistry actually match. They actually have bridged the circle back to where it started.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't say yeah to that.
Well, go look. You don't have to say yeah to anything. You have to go look, man.
You're assuming again, BGS. You're basing this off the assumption that I haven't. But nonetheless, because I don't agree means I'm going to. Because I don't agree with it means I'm going to educate it about.
When it gets down to the basis of what matter is, what is it? Is it solid?
I came up for 2 points. It's to
solid?
That question, and to correct on this, push your shit in is not a military term. It's a prison term that was stolen from prison terms.
Ask the Romans. How about push your shit in?
Dead ass.
And the Greeks.
Again, prison before military.
All right.
Didn't alchemists, they believed in like mythological objects was real, and then Didn't they?
No, man,
No.
that's a modern interpretation of what early chemists were doing, right? Because the people who basically had the who kind of had the foresight to be able to peer into the chemical compositions of physical matter and then change them. Okay, people who have the ability to do that like centuries ago, like other people who looked at that shit, like they're the ones who perceive them to be that shit. Okay, these people were scientists. The people who observed what they were doing couldn't make sense of it. Now today, because we come up in an education system where we've gone through various disciplines of science in school and shit. It's not a foreign concept. That's the reason why as soon as you say alchemy, like if you can really put it together, you go, oh, like chemistry and metallurgy and shit like that.
Right.
Because it's basically the same thing. If we understood what alchemy was of the day.
Now he's not completely wrong, because again, if you go back thousands of years and all that other stuff, we do have records of like when people, again, when you deify things, or when you okay, like BGS says, when you don't have the tools, you know, that your science is basic and stuff like that, but you use things to represent variables. So let's just say
Keith just came up here and talked about anthropomorphisms.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So if you go back further in time, it's like, so you have to use something as like variables or things that represent what you're trying to do. So when people use animism, or they like put, and let's just say you humanize your work, like a dog would be like representative of something that's not even a dog. Like even astrology, like look at how we will use animals to represent star constellations and stuff like that.
Right.
Just that type of, what I'm saying is that type of concept, that type of the context that people put things in when we don't have the tools necessary to actually do the more exact science of it.
But that's what I'm saying. The more, again, that's why I say it's not what we know, it's what we've learned thus far. And therefore, as the sciences become more refined by the technologies available, i.e., tools available to discern beyond them, at some point in time, you have to cut you have to cut off the dead, less accurate information.
There you go.
Right, but alchemy is still chemistry. Like those two things are almost indistinguishable. It's the same thing.
It doesn't, you don't cut it off. What happens is, and we just illustrated it, right? What happens is that actuality, what BGS was just saying, it actually evolves to a point where they start to split off and become their own disciplines. Hence chemistry and metallurgy. Whereas at one point, this was all alchemy, right? But now we're at a point where you have all these various disciplines, right? These specializations and shit, because alchemy has gotten that goddamn developed, where now we have specific disciplines within it, whole sciences.
Yeah, we can make perfect diamonds now. I mean, how are you going to distinguish that between alchemy and chemistry?
You know how many different alloys of metals we can produce?
Right, but I'm saying we can make perfect diamonds now. There's no distinction between alchemy and chemistry with that.
Right. We kind of actually squared back on it.
Well, I just came up for the whole thing.
Real quick, hold your thought. I'm gonna go to you next, SKC. real quick. Son is hot rod. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. He says astrology was originally used for navigation, helping sailors navigate their way to shore. Thank you.
One of the uses.
It's one of the uses. Actually, originally navigation was actually used across the desert because there was no landmarks. That's where your original navigation came from.
No, astronomy was used for it, not astrology.
Not astrology.
Astronomy was actually used for lots of things way before you actually cross the sea. It's actually there to use to lay landmarks, align, like say your pyramids were aligned used in astrology or astronomy, which were indistinguishable back then.
Well, they lie.
Right, and keep in mind the word
lines,
zeitgeist. Right? I mean, two different societies can do the same thing at the same time. So it's not like Babylon had the lock on navigation by stars. Other societies were doing it as well.
No, it's way before that. Way before Babylon.
Several Babylon.
Well, yeah, even way before them.
The only thing I was saying on the whole thing of astrology, and I know we were supposed to have that stream on zero. I apologize about that.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But it's like there's so many holes in it. It's ridiculous that people even hold on to it at this time. I mean, mathematics is disproved astrology. Astronomy has disproved astrology. Take, for instance, the whole idea of people classifying individuals under 12 categories, based upon their birth and so forth. Well,
more than that. It's more than that, but yeah.
The Earth position changes in space over centuries. So the dates that people associated with signs way back in the day, they don't even correspond to the same signs today. So
the stars change position, and the amount of time it takes for the light to travel. We're not seeing the stars where they're at.
Yeah.
There's so many factors that it's like it's
okay.
weird.
Disprove a coincidence.
And even to go into further into that, even to go into further behind that, the individuals that came up with astrology, they base their whole thing on the whole idea that the planets revolved around the Earth, when we know that the planets revolve around the sun. So it's like your whole foundation is screwed up. What are you even talking about of this being useful to today's thought? It's ridiculous.
The thing is that all these things were developed over like 200,000 years of observation. It wasn't.
But if it's based off a unsound foundation, it's faulty. Period.
How do you know?
Well,
because you
They said it on the whole
you
idea.
don't know. You don't know, dude. You cannot see you cannot even see all the energies that are out there that surround the Earth. You have no clue.
May I posit a position for clarity?
You don't. Well, you don't. You have no clue.
Go ahead, Judge.
Okay. Those stars are not stars. They're actually galactic clusters.
There have been today's science has never found any type of force that emanates from any planets or stars that affects humans.
It's called gravity.
Gravity.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we know gravity is real. I
sir,
mean, come
is
on.
real.
Right, but
Well,
again,
there
these
has been-
things
there
haven't
has
these things haven't been considered in unification yet because they haven't been unified. The theories for them haven't been unified.
Thank you, Doug.
When the moon causes waves, what is that, sir?
It's not. I'm not. What I'm saying. I'm not saying that the existence of gravity or electromagnetic waves don't exist.
In fact, Einstein.
That's right.
Einstein. If you go to
what
Einstein,
are we
talks
saying?
about
What are we
it.
saying, Judge? What are we saying?
Is that they
We have
haven't
not found that it had any effect upon human physiology at all.
There you
Yes, it
go.
does.
Wait,
point of
wait a minute.
unification.
Wait. What was that? What was that?
Say it
Wait, did
again.
you say that none of that goes on up there doesn't have effect?
No.
Women's menstrual
No, that's-
cycles are predicated upon the movements like earthly cycles. Like
But
their
we are-
biophysiology.
Wait,
connect
hold
each
on.
other.
But hold on. Like
You're conflating
astrology-
correlation with causation.
Astrology.
No.
Thank you.
Hold on, but astrology implies that my birthday being June 28th has some effect on my personality. Y'all don't
Correct.
believe that, do you?
Right. That I
No,
don't.
I was
Correct.
literally
That's asinine.
I was making a correlation to a actual cycle that happens in the body that you can correlate to Earth cycles. Like there's a correlation.
That kinda makes sense.
I'm sorry.
That's
Complex.
not
I used the wrong-
I'm not
I used
talking
the wrong
about
word.
I
I
was gonna say-
used the wrong word. Instead of physiology, I meant to say human psychology.
right. Okay, I was gonna say you can
There is no
correlate
correlation between the two. Nobody
Yeah.
has ever proved it. Nobody has even put any inkling on those thoughts together for people to say, "Oh, it's an absolute truth."
So
Yeah, because I was gonna give an example of how your physiology can change just by being on a
Yeah,
space
yeah,
station.
no,
Come on.
I meant.
May I ask you this for
psychology.
clarity? May I
Go
ask
ahead,
this for
Judge.
clarity? Okay, so are any of the panelists seed theorists or seed believe in seed theory?
No, I don't. I don't.
Oh, what?
I know. Well, I don't know. As I understand it, SKC is more on the creationist side, correct?
No, I'm on the whole thought of being absolutely balanced. There's a lot of things that I think that
Well, I have a question. What's the difference? What's the difference between what's the difference between let there be light and the Big Bang?
Okay, I'll show you.
But please, before you get to that, like begin, because are we assuming like that? I need to understand this because I need to understand whether we're assuming that there's knowledge that was placed here that was lost, or knowledge that we're approaching to reclaim, because that would be more of seed theory of it. That would be more seed theory.
No, I'm excluding that completely. I'm saying, what's the difference between
original or creationist? You know, in
Again,
original man and all knowledge being available.
again,
Before you ask
don't know.
What's the
that, before
difference?
you ask that question, Zero,
What's
real
the
quick.
difference?
Tampa Supreme, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
Because for it to
we
come
need
back
one,
around
we
again.
need another one-on-one with the master teacher. I agree, Tampa Supreme. I agree. Ray Clemens, thank you for the super chat. Loves this conversation. Shout out to Zero Bernard and the master teacher.
Well, we're getting way off from feminism, though.
No, that's
Right, we
cool.
are.
That's
I mean,
cool.
But to
okay,
complete a
that's cool.
revolution,
That's
you
cool.
have to
this
have.
is this is the question I used to ask all of the pastors at the churches I used to go to, and questions I used to ask like my physics professors. What's the difference between a Big Bang and let there be light?
Nothing.
Right.
Thank you.
Right, but again, right, a circle has no starting points, right? A circle has no starting point. A sphere has no corners, right?
Yeah,
a circle has to have a circle does have to have a starting point.
You said, yeah, a circle does have to. It does.
No. To draw a circle, you must have a starting point, but a circle itself has no starting point.
It has to.
It has to have a starting point.
It has to have a starting point. Your initiation has to have a starting point.
So some of the new theory basically posits that there's no such thing as nothing. I get that that might be like one of those fucking roundabout phrases, but there is no such thing as nothing, and there has never not been nothing. So if you think about it, okay, so think about how numbers work. Think about how math works. We always look at zero as like a starting point. We're always looking for a beginning. We're always looking for.
But that's not right because they're negative numbers, right?
Exactly.
Because zero is actually originally a religious concept.
Well, infinity extends infinity positions from zero.
Infinity is zero.
Yeah, that's us trying to conceptualize infinity and
infinity. Zero over zero is infinity. In other words, you can't divide zero. So zero over zero is infinity. If you go back to Memphite theology, it makes sense.
Right. So the new theories. No, there is no difference. So new theories is basically like since there has never not been like asking. So asking how the Big Bang started is equivalent to asking where God came from.
Right.
Say that again.
Asking what caused the Big Bang is the equivalent to asking where God came from. It's the same thing. So basically, it's just the concept. All you gotta understand, this stuff just comes from people trying to conceptualize existence. That's really all it is. So, a lot of times when we think about this shit, we gotta keep in mind that
I think the major
one different. Hold on, real quick, SKC. I think I know where you're gonna go with it. One difference in what you're comparing, Zero, is that we could say scientists at least started from the ground and built their way up to the Big Bang. Religion just started with the Big Bang and then just started with the let there be light.
But that's not true.
Religion was the first science.
Religion was the first science.
Yeah.
It was actually.
And you gotta think about it. Back in early, when people were early, you gotta understand, like people were seriously trying to consider like the math on it. It's just that you don't have the tools. You don't have the mathematical tools. You don't have the mathematical cognition to do it.
So let's take a circle back.
The reason I don't like to give credibility to early religion when, where we would consider, primitive people with primitive tools and primitive knowledge trying to explain the world the best way they could. They took a good shot at it. They said a bunch of bullshit, but if you throw enough spaghetti against the wall, some of it's going to stick. So I don't give them credit for the stuff that stuck to today.
Right,
why not?
But you can't not give them it. Right, let's circle back. Right, let's circle back in the conversation. Right, circle. But when Zero brought up the apes and the gorillas, right? The comment that I made is again understanding that this comes like that. There's a genesis point, right? At such point in time in which humans are able to develop cognitive thought and abstract thought, right? And then there becomes a point in time in which they're able to express it to each other. Apes, even those that have been taught sign language, right? So apes, orangutans, chimpanzees, those who have been taught sign, they haven't reached that ability for abstract thought yet that way.
Okay.
And the ability, or if they have, they haven't reached the ability to codify it, to be able to express it.
It's simpler than that. People have the ability to communicate their ideas and
pass them down.
Yeah, right. And animals can't. It's really
Right.
that simple.
And
This allowed us to cooperate and get together in
Animals
larger
literally-
numbers.
Animals literally have to do it through mating. That's the only way they can do it. They
Right,
don't.
but by
again,
them,
we
by
are
them
animals
not
as
being
well.
able to communicate beliefs and ideas, they
Right.
can't create imagined orders like humans and create societies
No.
bigger, that holds millions of people. Apes can only exist in tribes, because once you have bigger and bigger tribes, you have people in those tribes that don't know each other, and there's no way to unify the people that don't know each other.
Right. So the way humans do it is you do things like you create religions, schools of thought,
Governments, governments,
yeah.
laws,
Go ahead,
rules,
yeah.
Nations, yeah.
Right.
So
right.
where does instinct come from, then Zero?
sex.
Instinct is biological. Like,
Yeah.
that's not even.
Zero, we
that
talked
doesn't
about
even count.
Zero, we talked about
Okay,
that last. We talked about
I mean,
that last
we-
night, right?
I'm just saying, what is the mechanism to create instinct?
It's biological.
Right.
Okay, that's not an answer. What is
Right,
the
but that's something that would be passed by
Passed down,
RNA or
but
DNA.
it's in your RNA and DNA.
okay? So where did that information come from?
That's like firmware. It's
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
hard code.
It comes.
It's
It's
firmware.
passed through your genes. That's where it comes from.
Okay, so what is the mechanism that passes those genes from one to the next?
Sex.
How we
Sex.
parentage? Like
Okay.
how do we?
Yeah,
How
sex,
is
parentage,
DNA?
heritage.
Okay, and now we're going into the whole thought of natural selection. So since we're saying that natural selection is the mechanism to pass those things down,
Natural selection. Natural
why
selection
did-
is part of it. It's not the whole
why
thing.
did humans and mammals and so forth, why did they devolve into using mating instead of asexual production, which is much more efficient?
Don't know.
Because you get
Wait. What makes you think that asexual
It's more efficient.
Yeah,
You get-
because bacteria are
Wait a
still
minute.
here. They're the most
I can
popular, and they
If
have
it's asexual, you're passing down your exact genes. That
Exactly.
means the environment
That's
changes.
replication.
You
Yeah,
don't
that's
you don't have as much ability to survive in a changing environment.
Yeah,
if
you can be
don't
wiped
change.
out by something more adaptable.
You don't
Really?
follow.
Really?
You
So
don't.
why are
Well,
bacteria
here's the
still
thing.
here?
You
Well,
don't-
one at a
it
time.
doesn't-
Y'all talking over
it
each
doesn't
other.
fall in line.
All right, let's go one at a time.
Y'all stepping
Why
over
they
each
Let's go
other.
one at a time. Let's Complex was trying to get in. Complex was trying to get in. Go ahead, Complex.
It doesn't follow the. It doesn't follow the nature.
God, I love my neighborhood. Just motherfuckers driving by
silence,
somebody.
silence,
Anyway.
silence.
Hey, son.
You have to mute 'em up.
Silence, y'all. Jesus Christ.
Damn.
I'm glad I don't have your show, Bernard.
Man, I'm trying to get control of the classroom now. This is
Good Lord.
Complex got the floor. Everybody chill.
Let me see if I can.
There is
okay.
an audience out there, y'all. Come on.
I was just gonna say, variation follows the dictates of nature, right? So there's only going to be replication if nature dictates that a species do it, i.e., something like frogs, for example. Like certain amphibians have the ability to replicate. There's plants have the ability to do this, right? So nature is going to dictate. Number one, we got to go into nature dictate. So if nature dictates that actually the most efficient way to achieve variation across human species is going to actually to be cross-pollination of DNA between two different parties. It wouldn't be asexual replication.
Which implies thought. So nature is thinking now.
Well, I would say that there is some.
Yeah, because if you're trying to survive, if you're saying that there is a process of trying to create something that could survive an environment, you're talking about a thinking entity.
No. You've that's. I don't think that's what anybody has said.
Because most of the universe
because again the basis
destruction.
That's a long leap, man.
Because
how is it a
read-
long leap?
It's a
You
long
gotta
leap.
read Richard
How can
Dawkins.
you go from selection to the creation of something new?
You set up if you have a complex.
The environment determines it not by the environment determines it not by sentience but by success.
Right.
It's called a mechanism. If the mechanism is such that
Which I brought up
actually
earlier.
happen, then it doesn't need thought. The mechanism will take care of it.
Oh, okay.
SKC, you gotta read The Blind Watchmaker by Richard Dawkins. He puts it in a poetic way.
I actually have.
Okay, then come on, then at least I understand if you disagree with what he's saying, but you understand the concept of nature selecting, but not in a sentient picking and choosing way. If you have 10 different organisms out there in a changing environment, the organisms
competition.
that
Well,
most
there's
suitable for
also,
the environment will
Will
survive. Those
survive.
that are not suitable will die off.
Well, this
well,
is
there's
the
Right.
argument.
also,
But what's
there's
being
also
done?
Hold on, real
What's
quick.
being,
Hold
what's
on,
being
hold on.
done in that argument is there's huge leaps and jumps from like one mountain to the next, so far as mountain peaks to the next, and the escape of the valleys. Take for instance something as simple as the creation of the eye. Something, people,
Which he explained in
these
that book.
beings got eyes or whatnot, and then like in his book he'll say that they got like the light patches and so forth. But
The
what
light sensitive molecules.
Yeah,
that-
the light sensitive
Yeah.
patches and so forth. But what he didn't go into describing is that just that simple process right there, which people would coin as simple, requires a whole bunch of things to happen engineering wise between there. I mean, you have to have nerve cells that connect to those eye patches. You have to have mechanisms that transfer that light to down to the brain and so forth. Where did all of that stuff come from? It didn't just pop up
Where did it come from?
overnight.
Where did it
Well, no,
come from?
I understand where this argument is leading.
Where did it come from? Where did it come from?
I think we understand. I think we understand where this argument is leading. The argument is leading to
Hold on,
transhumanist behavior like ants.
One at a time.
Let him finish,
There
man. He's
wasn't
gonna
any
finish
items
anyway.
for the selection of things to choose from. They had to build those mechanisms for a specific purpose.
Okay, we can argue the concept of God, which is impossible because you can't prove it one way or the other.
I'm not arguing God. I'm just saying
you are arguing God.
There is a hole in that idea of there's a jump from one.
You are arguing the concept of God, sir.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
Just because I can look at the hole in a theory doesn't mean that I'm arguing.
You arguing for God, the intelligence of God.
See, there we go.
because he's kind of responding. I want him to get this out, right? Because I think I have a response. Go ahead. What do you mean? What do you mean there's holes? What do you mean?
Well, no, all I'm saying is that if you was to look at it from an engineering aspect,
right,
you couldn't just say, okay, natural selection fixes the problem. You would actually have to fix the problem. You would have to re-engineer it. Well,
what problem are we referring to? What problem are we referring to?
Like in his book where he says, okay, well, light patches started to form on these cells, and they were able to gather light, and that's how beings were able to see where their predators and food sources were, and so forth, and determine colors and all of that. Okay, well, how do we re-engineer that? It's 2 lines, and we just make that paragraph statement, and that's it.
The same way we train wolves into dogs.
There's a whole lot that goes behind that.
Okay. So
the same way you turn wolves into dogs.
Hold
and
on.
he doesn't want to go into that because it requires.
Wait. Okay. All right. So typically, what happens here is evolution solves the problem through selective breeding. Okay, that's kind of how animals solve the problems of the survival of their species. Okay, that's where the whole you seek out the ones that have the superior genetics so that they can then adjust to an ever-evolving, ever-changing environment. Now in terms of like
complex, how you went all the way to
can you let me finish?
And then I wanted to also speak to the symbiosis, right? When you have things that actually work in tandem with one another to kind of make what we perceive to be sentience, right? How is all of this working? Well, there's a myriad of factors all working together. Perfect example, there's a shit ton of living, breathing things out here, right? That all sort of communicate and interact with one another to kind of make this ecosystem what it is, right? So it takes the involvement of all of these things that we're talking about. It's not just like somebody just kind of propped this up and it was a set it, forget it type of thing. No, like Zero and I, we were talking about this last night, dude. Form is formed out of chaos. And it's an ever going ongoing process. So I mean, that's, I mean, I don't know. You're really trying to like reduce it down to A plus C equals, you know, E equation, and it's kind of like, well, there's a whole bunch of other factors here that we're not like physically actually looking at. Like I'm sitting here in my garage and I'm really looking at plants, right? Plants literally are providing oxygen, which gives me the ability to sit up here and breathe and talk. Okay, so I'm not going to attribute it to something other than, you know, plants being the reason why I can sit here and breathe and talk. I mean, I'm going to simplify it. Plants
May I
are the
add
reason.
2 cents? I just had a thought.
Go ahead, Keith.
Go ahead.
I actually just, before it got too far, I wanted to just respond. You guys were talking about, I think somebody made a comment asking where God came from was the same as the Big Bang. That conversation you guys were having?
Yeah, we still kind of there. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just throwing a wrench in it, just letting you know. Just something to talk about later, but I had a theory. You guys ever heard of this dude named Bob Lazar?
I've heard of him.
Yeah.
What about him?
So Bob
Isn't he an
Lazar,
alien guy? Isn't
Yeah.
this a seed theory? Isn't this a seed theory I
Theory.
presented earlier?
Yeah.
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 Probably.
So he was messing with this compound called element 115 unpentium.
Mm-hmm.
And my theory is we actually think it's the God particle. We actually think that's the reason they haven't killed him yet, because he stole this form, whatever this compound was, from the base or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so him holding on to that is the reason they haven't killed this guy. But my theory is that element 115 is the actual God particle.
Probably not, but go ahead.
It's just a theory, bro. I told you I was going way fucking left field. I think it's a good conversation.
If it's an element, then it's not. The element is not a particle. It's a,
No, they just call it element 115. That's just what they call it.
The element one is hydrogen, which exists.
No. It's element 115 because it's the 115th element on the periodical table. Unpentium. They synthesized it in 2013, Russia.
Yeah, they probably
because it didn't even exist.
I know.
Remember, it didn't even exist in the 80s when Bob was.
I know, but a particle.
Hold on, don't talk over me, brother. I know you know it all, brother.
Okay, go ahead, man. Finish. But by saying it's an element, you mean this is not a particle.
I understand that, brother. Okay. I'm not getting into a wordsmith argument.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks for your permission, sir. So that's just my theory, is that whatever that compound he stole from Groom Lake is whatever that element. I think that if you believe in these fucking beings, they have I forget what they call it, but they have a sort of class civilization to where they're able to, because you guys were talking about alchemy, but they believe these civilizations have the ability to transform their universe. We're like I guess we're coming on like a class 1 civilization where we're just now starting to learn to control the weather, right? So apparently these civilizations are advanced to where they can control atmosphere of entire, universes and shit like that. But I'm getting way into the fucking rabbit hole. But my theory was this element 115 is that God particle that allows them to change the universe. I think they're fucking with the universe now with, different portals and shit. But again, that's another conversation. But
all right.
Yeah, that goes in stage 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, I'm gonna mute you up, Keith, because you got the
I'm gonna drop off.
So
all right, Keith, real quick. You said you want to say something about what Keith said.
So as far as like God particles is concerned, so if you look at the way stars burn out and die, right? We were talking about this last night as well. When stars burn out and die, and gravity starts to take over, they start to spin and become denser and denser and denser and start crushing everything around them. Mm-hmm. They start to create particles. So what particles are created for pretty much everything that we have here on Earth, like metals and pretty much everything. But the second it starts to create particles of iron, the iron sucks the life out of the star. And then it dies and becomes a black hole. That's when a star collapses on itself. If it's supernovas, the same thing happens after the explosion, and so on and so forth. So as far as like God particle is concerned, this is why we're doing like the hadron accelerator shit. I don't really think about it like that. So the new theories in physics would posit things like, why are we thinking about it in terms of particles and shit when you think about it, what's the difference between God being this imaginary figure that we create in religion, or the math that governs how everything works.
Right.
Why is it a particle at all?
Yeah, do you remember last night we were talking about oh, I'm sorry, BGS, go ahead.
Because math is the symbolic explanation of a phenomena, not the phenomena itself.
Right. So this is why I would argue against that the God particle theory, because again, with the new theories in physics, where they even kind of postulate about infinity itself, like why are we doing this human thing where we try to conceptualize infinite things, like using our representation of it, like numbers
and our limited tools.
Yeah. It's where you're talking about trying to employ a more pragmatic approach to explaining existence, right? So this is where, like we were talking about Zero last night, Professor Gates, and simulation theory, right? Because with simulation theory, you're able to extract the data in more of a modern concept, right? I.e. coding. Okay, so this is just another attempt to do this, but a more pragmatic one, using systems that can crunch more data, right, and give us more info. So if you have something that can crunch data and give you more info, guess what you're not going to do? You're not going to interpret it in like astrological terms. You're going to interpret the shit in code and algorithm.
Yeah, according to your mind. Yeah.
But again, and again, to take it again, you know, take the conversation forward, but to link it to part of the conversation of the past here, is again, as I've said this many times, I think you've probably heard it, but I'll repeat it. Every 200 years, we think the people 200 years before us were fucking morons. No. Right? By and large.
Depends.
By their behaviors, and what they and what they presented forth as sciences that are either proven, that are either verified, refined, or disproven. Right.
I kind of agree with BGS on this one, because basically what it is that they were using the tools of the time. Right.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
A lot of theories in theories and calculations that are used today are still or have been, like, say, like even physics with the God particle, that's actually comes from 20,000 years ago with Memphite theology, which is why they're trying to look for it in the first place. So those calculations and that science still holds up.
But what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this. Our science is limited by what we can perceive and what the tools that we utilize can perceive. Right? Previous to 200 years ago, you didn't have an infrared spectrum.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You didn't have modes and methods to measure electromagnetic force or waves.
Or the speed of light, or the atomic clock.
But does that then mean that the outcomes that they reached in their experiences using the tools that they had at the time make
or not valid?
No, but what I'm saying is we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what tools to employ what we don't know. So in 200 years from now, people again, that's why I say it's I think it's a misnomer to say what we know or what was right, unless you're utilizing something as original knowledge or seed theory knowledge, because that would be something coming back to or around. What I think is more appropriate to say what we've learned thus far and what we will learn in the future using better tools and with a better understanding.
Well, in other words, what you know is always moving. Understanding all the stuff.
That's what he said.
In other words, knowing is knowing what you know right now. It doesn't matter.
Knowing is definitive, though. Knowing is
exactly.
Learning is adaptive.
Hold on, SKC. Hold on. Wait, Judge, finish up then, SKC.
No, learn what you know. Knowing something is a definitive statement. Learning is adaptive, is modifying.
Right. Yeah.
Knowing is what you can prove right now. That's what knowledge is. Knowing is what you can prove right now. It's what it is. There's no.
We're saying different. We're using different words, but we're saying
y'all saying the same thing.
Same thing. It's not different words. The thing is, that's what it means. So the words are important.
I understand, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all literally saying the same thing.
Yeah, he's trying to extract knowing that it has to be something absolute. Knowing is not absolute.
Right, that's what he said. Knowing is not absolute.
No, he said
that's what he's saying.
Even the word "no" is not absolute.
Oh, okay.
Right. because of what we know right now.
Right.
Yeah, y'all saying the same thing.
All right. Well, one thing I wanted to circle back to, something that SKC was getting at. He said that damn coon. That's funny. I just not noticed that. But something that SKC was getting at when he was talking about the things that we don't know. Well, he was breaking down how, yeah, we can explain this, but you can't explain that. So how do you get to here? It's like whenever I hear people doing that, it's what you're doing is something that's going to go on forever. Like whenever scientists figure out anything, all it does is just creates another layer of shit that they don't know. So they're never going to have it all figured out. So you'll always be able to do the God of the gaps. Well, you don't know this. Yeah, you figured out this, and this, but you don't know this. Therefore, God. And I feel like that's the argument.
That's a good. I would say a way to refute it. Now, you understand that in this whole conversation, I have not brought up the word or the thought of God in any of it
because you're strategic.
I actually used engineering in order to prove the point of what I was saying. What I was saying is if you were to say
that's apologetics training.
It is apologetics training.
If you were to say, okay, I have proven this, and then I say, okay, well, what is the engineering behind it? And then you say, well, I don't know. How can you prove it?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so has anybody heard of Hawking's disappointing dinner?
No.
Okay, so Stephen Hawking's, right? He was obsessed at one point in time with believing that human beings would resolve gravity and electromagnetic fields and space-time theory, right? So he was obsessed with that being achievable for human beings. And if said thing was achievable, then it would open up the area for the possibility for time travel. Right. So what he did is he advertised for a dinner on a specific day. Right. At that time that a time traveler would arrive. Right. And set up everything and waited for the time traveler to arrive. But none of them did. Okay. So either they all avoided his invitation, or conclusion could be made, right? There's probably other conclusions that could be made, but
I think he was just having a mental episode.
Yeah,
can you repeat your question? But I wanted to answer that.
Well, the point I was making in association with it was again, it's like anthropology, right? You can't go and definitively prove events of 10,000, 100,000, a million, a billion years prior.
Thank you.
There's no ability to definitively appropriate that information without being there in the time.
True.
Right.
And in addition to that, Judge,
and not only that, being there in the time, being there in the time,
I can step on each other. If you're gonna complete a thought.
I think Judge and SKC might be slightly out of sync with each other.
I think so.
Because those are the only two that keep talking over each other.
Real quick, let's think about. Okay, so you can't figure out what happened a long time ago. You do understand, like, record keeping was a thing a long time ago. So when you look at records, like, because you have to understand when people first started writing, we didn't just start writing novels and shit. Writing was mainly used for record keeping. So the earliest forms of writing were to basically keep tax records and shit like that, like basically like a file cabinet. So when you go back and look at that type of stuff, you're looking at data. You're not looking at anything that needs to be interpreted with imagination.
Correct.
Right.
So in that regard, yes, you can know what happened a long time ago just by doing things like that.
So the question is how far do those records go back, Zero?
Right. But that's only from
again, I don't know. That's relative to record keeping.
No, it is very relevant because on one end, one person.
No, I said it's relevant to the record keeping, and besides the point, I'm just saying that you can.
Right. You can, but it's a huge.
I wanted to answer that question you asked earlier.
And I'll keep this real short. It's a huge leap to go from tax records of 4,000 years ago to we know that this occurred 20,000 years ago or 8 million years ago. That's a huge jump.
Okay. And
No, okay, I get what you're saying.
and
Yeah, that's a big and. Yeah, that's a
complete your
big
thought.
and.
So,
So,
okay,
okay,
well, so basically,
let's
there's
just-
not defended on either side. It's not. It can't be proven.
Oh,
Right.
let's go.
So
Let's
that's
go
called
with that.
being balanced instead
Let's
of
go-
just saying,
let's go with
"Oh,
that.
do we
So-
know this?" No,
Okay,
we
so
don't.
let's go with that. Is your point is that because we can't explain it, then God, or what?
My point is look at I would say in certain scientific sectors, instead of trying to prop yourself up by saying, you know what? Oh yeah, look at these people with the spaghetti monster. Okay, why try to gloss over the stuff that you're trying to hide? That's the same thing. You don't know what happened.
Okay, I get you.
Well, but here's
years
the
ago.
difference.
And
Here's
you're
the
acting
difference.
like you did, and you're
I get
pushing it
SKC.
like it's an absolute truth. And
No,
you
I get what he's
don't know.
saying now.
But here's the thing. I'm not saying you specifically, SKC, but those that are theists tend to put themselves on the absolutist table. Like they absolutely know that the stuff that comes from their holy books
And there are scientists that do the same thing.
No,
Okay.
Yes, but there are more scientists that don't do that than do.
Depends.
Yeah.
They do the exact same thing, Judge.
Yeah, a lot of
I'm not saying that there's
a lot of your physicists are Kabbalists. You just don't know it.
Just
a lot of
give-
very religious.
SKC,
You don't know it.
hold on. SKC, a long time ago. Hold on, let me turn that off. A long time ago, SKC. This was back when I barely had an audience. Me and you was going on about that when you were saying, well, there's scientists that do the same thing. But the thing is, when scientists do that, you know what happened? They get corrected and refuted by other scientists.
Now that's not absolutely true.
With theologians, there's no such
that's
thing
not
as that.
absolutely
With
true.
religion,
Actually,
Nobody's
you can-
talking in absolutes.
to give you a point in case, Bernard. Right now, back in 2018, the Royal Society met. It was over 500,000 microbiologists that met because they wanted to go over the fallacies that they found in natural selection.
You're being
It's
disingenuous.
public knowledge right now.
Okay, man.
Okay, natural selection. Okay, hold on.
All right.
Natural selection is not the same thing as like
Hold on,
physics.
let me explain this. SKC, when we had you were telling me it was some article written in 2009, I believe, when we did a show, because I was doing like a little
I just gave you a reference for 2018.
KC, can you let him talk, please, sir?
Hold on. I was doing I did a show called Losing My Religion. It was going to be an ongoing series where we just talked about religion, but then I just kind of backed out of it. But you sent me an article that was basically saying that the scientists that they were questioning Darwin's tree of life. You was just banging that home. And I told you, because you couldn't read the whole article, the one that you sent me. I couldn't read the whole thing, but I predicted that all that's going to happen is that just a small aspect of it that they were having some debate about, but everybody who was talking about it still believed that Darwin's tree of life was still an actual thing that was actually legit. They just used a provocative title just to try to get people, the title was something like Darwin was wrong, and a bunch of other scientists was in on it. I read the shit, and all it meant was just something like the tree of life that they thought was just a real clean, neat tree. It was more like a web, or like a tree with a lot of smaller branches that they didn't know about at the microbial level. And like you was banging that drum home about how Darwin was refuted. Like, SKC, you be disingenuous when it comes to defending your religion, man.
And it was a creationist website.
What religion did I bring up?
And it was a creationist website. I was there for it, SKC.
What religion have I brought up?
You accept any evidence when it comes to defending that religion, man.
I'm not bringing in any religious thought whatsoever. The only thing that I'm saying is if you are following the scientific method says to investigate what other scientists say to make sure that it is accurate. And I
Yes.
They do.
why people act
they
like
do.
this is just such a hard thing to do, or if it's like crazy to do.
They
But
do
you
it
I
all
mean,
the
why are
time.
you?
act-
Why
Hold on,
you?
Judge. Hold on,
Why,
Judge.
why
Hold
would
on,
you have?
Judge.
Why would you
Bernard,
have a
Bernard,
panel of
Bernard.
microbiologists that are challenging the natural selection, which is the right leg of Darwin's theory, as truth, and you say that I'm crazy?
Hey, Bernard, what point is he trying to make, man? Because I've been 20 minutes trying to figure out what point he's trying to make.
He's
point
trying
is
to.
don't know.
I can tell you
the point is,
No,
BGS, is that you're not being objective. That's
Coon,
the point.
I want Bernard to actually translate for me because you haven't done
I'm putting it clear. You're not being objective,
Bernard.
BGS.
No, this is the
If
point that
about
he's
me,
trying to
if
make.
it's about me, then you asking me the question.
No, I asked
I'm
Bernard
answering
to
it. You're not
translate.
being you're not being objective.
Coon, I asked Bernard to
Evolution.
translate for me, okay? Because I'm not
Evolution.
And there we go.
Evolution is not true. It
That's
is
what
a
we saying.
it is a conspiracy by.
I'm not saying that.
Okay,
I'm not saying that.
I'll
I'm just
take.
saying that there's
Okay,
holes
I'm
in
not gonna word it in an insulting way. He's a Christian apologist. I think a new age. What do they call it? Hold on. I think he's a young Earth creationist.
Why?
That's
No,
what it
I'm
is.
not. No, I'm
Oh,
not.
okay. So you're an old Earth. You're an old Earth creationist.
Okay, but
no, I'm not.
can you actually explain your thesis so I can actually understand it? Because you're going round and round in circles, and I keep asking you,
Yeah, I'm trying to understand it too.
what point are you trying to make, and you're not making it clear.
That the theory of evolution is not true. That's what it is.
My point is that there are holes in the theory.
I get that.
And
There are holes in
if
everything.
and when people try to take a theory
There are holes in what?
that has holes in it
There
and
are holes in what?
as a solid foundation, that
Is there a counter theory to
Is there a
this?
point to this, man?
Yeah.
He's equalizing.
I'm trying to get clarity on what he's saying. There are
I don't
holes
know.
in what?
He's equalizing
Darwin's
science
theory.
and religion.
In Darwin's
That's what he's
theory,
doing.
okay? Is that the
He's
only one?
equalizing science and religion.
I'm not equalizing anything.
Because
What-
there are
Hold on,
holes in
Judge.
science. Because there are holes. Because if you acknowledge
I'm
that
not
there are holes
equalizing
in religion, then you have to acknowledge that there's holes in
Because
science.
we're
therefore
not
they're
understanding you. We're trying to get you. We're trying to nail you down to a square so we can actually understand what the heck you're talking about.
Well, there are
Yeah.
more holes. You're talking about scientific theory and evolution. There are actually more. If you're a Christian, and Christianity is based on the Bible.
I have not brought up any religious concepts at all.
Strategically.
Right. He's not going to explain his position. He's going to keep asking questions. Now,
Okay.
the thing is,
Okay.
the thing with physics, ever since the theory of general relativity was put out, it's been challenged by physicists ever since. And every time someone puts out something that is proven to be true, like even the fucking calculation of the speed of light is still being challenged.
Yeah.
You gotta understand, like, there's never a time when any of these theories are not being challenged. So yeah, physicists understand that there are holes. You're talking about microbiology. That's one of the exact sciences, but it's going to be less exact than physics, because physics typically works on pure math. If you cannot mathematically express,
but natural selection is not explained.
Okay,
All right,
look, let me just finish what I'm saying.
You have
All
a
right, go
hard
ahead,
on
go
for
ahead.
natural selection.
Come
and
on,
man.
adaptation.
Hold on. Zero gonna finish. I'm gonna read the super chat, and we're gonna go to Angry Man, because Angry Man didn't get to lay out what he was trying to say. So go ahead, Zero.
So a biological science is not going to be as exact as physics, because physics is all about predictability and things like that. A biological science is not about predictability in the same way physics is. You're trying to figure out how something works. So the exactness is going to come from some form of experimentation or modeling. We won't even be able to get biological sciences really pinned down until we have the ability to model complex environments like the brain or the body and stuff like that. And the only way you're going to do that is with a quantum computer. So your questions will be answered like then, but right now people are just trying to do the best they can with what we have. Again, the tools aren't ready yet.
All right. Aizen Sama says, truth is most religious leaders and various individuals don't have the mental capacity to be able to balance them both, while scientific individuals don't usually care. The discord is balanced. Aizen Sama, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. We're about to go to Angry Man to lay out whatever your position is, whatever you was trying to get at. Go ahead, you got it.
Well, I mean, from what I was understanding about the conversation, I find it interesting that anyone who believes in Christianity would point out the holes in evolution when Christianity is based on the Holy Bible. It has plenty of holes. But I want to point out something that was said earlier. What Judge and BGS was saying was not the same thing. Knowledge is not definitive. It's not definitive. And somebody else said something about the recording of information, taking notes back in the day, or recording data. That's not
data collection.
Data collection. That's not you can't rely on that. You can't rely on data collection from back in the day.
You can't rely on data.
What it is, it's compiled data, right? See, so what it is data that's already been compiled, because what we're trying to explain here is that these are all what you have today in modern times are just the evolution of these sciences. So it's all built off of things. It's like software versions. That was kind of like when we made the analogy to like alchemy, for example, of the days of yore, and in today's modern time, alchemy is now a myriad of scientific disciplines. Okay, so this is where we're talking about data that's been compiled from the times of when, let's just say, for example, the science was recording astrological movements in order to kind of bring some order to how the world around them is moving, right? Being able to chart a day, a week, a month, a year, making these quadrants then when you have seasons, and then being able to do things like practice agrarian culture. It started from a soft science and evolved into what we have today over time. This is why we can't really discount the data, because the data was compiled to lead up to what you got today.
Okay, well, number one, I'm gonna go back to what I said again, because I was addressing the fact that someone said the only way that you can accurately know what took place back in the day is if you were there.
Well, let me clarify that. I said if you were there, and not only do you have to be there, but you have to be omniscient of everything going around everywhere.
Okay.
Right? Because even as we're saying with data collection, even the data collection that we have available to us now, until we reach a level 3, level 3 society, we don't have enough data to definitively, right? Because we're collecting data from, we know around the world, we're collecting data from faulty sources.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
No. The way to get to a level 3 society.
Hold on. Here's the thing.
No, that's not the way to get there.
One at a time.
I'm trying to address something that was said, but if every time I lay out what it is, I got to get a 12-page dissertation on each word that I say, I'm never going to be able to get out what I'm saying.
What? I just corrected that.
You said half of
what I said.
Go ahead. Finish.
You extrapolated onto it. I'm talking about the initial statement of being there in order to know what actually happened, which is true. The only way you're going to know for a fact if something happened is if you were actually there to see it. Now, the comment that was made about data collection is bullshit. And I'm going to tell you why it's bullshit. It's bullshit because when was this data collected? Was it prior to the printing press or after the printing press? Because if it was prior to the printing press, when that data is actually shared, it's actually recorded by hand, which guess what comes into that?
Human error. Yeah.
That's the point that I was making, Angry Man, is that at a level, not to get to a level 3 society, to be at a level 3 society, which a level 3 society is a society that has control over its entire planetary infrastructure.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, I think you're referring to when I was talking about the data collection. So let's do an example of like when you have like an ancient society that kept tax records. it doesn't matter if some of the tax records were inaccurate. You're trying to figure out how that society lived,
How they did it,
or what they did, or how they did it. Like that was the point, not the the minutia of someone being cheated out of a house or something like that.
Well, that's in reference to tax records, but when you start going into scientific data and you start going into what the belief system was at that time and different things of that nature, you can kind of veer off into the weeds when you have certain people re-recording the data and making mistakes. Like, for instance, you have an entire society that believes that a virgin gave birth to a god when the word virgin has been mistaken for a word that translates into woman.
Right.
But this is the reason. But this, okay.
And something as simple as that, and then over time, over a millennia, it continues. It's like the game of telephone. That's the reason why I'm saying that certain data back in the day can't be really taken seriously to the degree of, oh, well, you know, back in the day, the data was this. So based upon that, we understand this as this. It's part of the reason. It's part of the reason why we're still chasing our tails when it comes to certain things.
Well, look, this is the reason why we have things like the scientific method and concepts like reverse engineering. So what you do,
right,
you reverse engineer something so that you can then extrapolate the data from today's modern technology, and then you compare and contrast it to the methods of old, because technologically they didn't have the tools that you have today. This is what I mean. Like, so we to this point, look, when you were born into this world, it was already going on, right? So the notion of the idea that any of this that's going on right now isn't based on things that happened before you, that's silly. It's silly.
Well,
and so the scientific approach is to apply today's technology to reverse engineer concepts that were created back then, and then that way you can compare and contrast and then fill those gaps.
But what year was the scientific approach actually invented?
It doesn't really matter. I'm talking about using the tools that you have today, right?
It does matter. It matters if there was actually a better way of doing it. It does matter.
The better way of doing it is today. You reverse engineer the process to figure out the holes in the gaps, to understand.
Yeah, I was about to say that tools only get better.
How do you know today's method is better?
It's more empirical.
Right,
because technology improves, it doesn't.
Right, it's more empirical. We even know more about mathematics itself as a discipline than we did a long time ago.
Based on what?
Based on quantum physics.
Based on what? You don't get what I'm saying.
Number theory, fucking. Okay, so what are you getting at?
This out. If check this out. If I come up with something, and we say, okay, this works for us. Right? We're basing it off of our level of understanding. Do you get what I'm saying?
Our level of understanding is subjective.
That's subjective as shit, yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. How do you know that method is the best method?
Well, because a torque wrench is better at gauging the available torque of what you're placing upon
when
it.
You're tightening down a bolt. Doing it by hand.
Than the tension method of your own hand.
Okay.
Hammer, sledgehammer.
So let me ask you this then. And first of all, Genghis Vale, I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to point something out. Okay. Like, first of all, y'all were having a conversation about the God particle. Y'all were having a conversation about quantum mechanics, quantum physics, understanding the universe, right? Do we have a full understanding of the universe?
No.
Negative.
Okay, then. So basically what you're saying is there is still room to grow as far as our intelligence, correct?
No, are you asking if there's a definitive answer? No, there's not.
No,
but we can't use that as an excuse every time we talk about this.
Well, let Anchorman complete his thought, though.
I'm not asking if there's a definitive answer. What I'm saying is there is room for improvement. Y'all were having a conversation where someone mentioned that 200 years ago, there were certain things we did a certain way, and we just knew that was the way to do things.
At the time, yeah.
right now, today, we're using certain methods and we're saying, okay, this is the way to do things. However, if that was the thing to do, if that was the way to do things, we would have a utopia. We don't have
back then, quantum mechanics didn't exist in the form and fashion that it does now. So quantum mechanics is the tool that actually has accelerated the pace upon which we're able to do what you're talking about. We actually deep dive on this shit last night. I had a live stream called Thought Process.
Right, but here's the thing, though.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
The thing is, science has always acknowledged that we don't know shit. Always. Right. Science has always defaulted to the position that we don't know shit, and we're using the tools in order to figure things out. Science has always done this. Yes, this is the default position of science. Yes, this is
SKC. SKC. Do not do that, man. The theists are the ones that claim absolute knowledge.
Wait a minute. I feel SKC's point.
No, I'm just okay.
Y'all was getting ready to dive in my ass about scientific theory.
Yes, because of the application of what you're doing. A spear leads to a rifle, leads to an ICBM, leads to a railgun, leads to whatever else comes after.
Exactly. But real quick. So again, science has always defaulted to we don't know, and we're trying to figure it out. This is why the discipline exists in the first place. Science is an offshoot of religion. Religion was the first science.
Yes.
Theism by default is definitive. Let's look at the Muslim religion, for example. Let's look at basically the doctrine of the commandments. Whatever Muhammad interprets from God is the law. Period. End of. Science does not approach things like that. Science approaches it from, okay, we know this, but what else can we know about it, and what don't we know about it? That is literally the default position of science. Okay. Now, I mean, you can laugh about it, but that's the default position.
Now, angry man. The reason why I laugh, and I'm gonna pass it right over to you. I would accept that if that was actually how it was done. But science, they push in front and say, "Oh yeah, this is our default position," all while in real time saying, "This is how it actually is. This is the answer."
Okay, you're conflating. So let's do this.
No, I'm not.
No, wait. Let's do this. The speed of light has been measured by an atomic clock. That's definitive. Before, when the speed of light was measured, it was inaccurate. You know what people did when it was still inaccurate? We knew it was inaccurate, and we kept at it until we had the most accurate you can get with an atomic clock. But you can't even measure the speed of light accurately without the atomic clock. So you have to wait till the invention of the atomic clock to exist first.
So let me give you an example, Zero. Let me give you an example, Zero. Go to any museum on planet Earth, and as you walk through, you'll hear individuals or listen to anything like Planet Earth, the series or something like that. 30 million years ago, we were something blah, 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 and this happened with blah, blah. You don't know. Even the tools that you use,
it's going to be SKC.
Accurate.
SKC.
You're gonna place.
Hold on, Judge.
It would be cool if you said, "This is our best guess. This is what we think."
Okay, but no. SKC.
30 million years ago, we blah blah blah.
SKC, listen.
I don't like the way they said that.
Listen, the 30 million years ago, whatever you're talking about that happened 30 million years ago, what they are saying, based off the best evidence that we have today.
Why don't they say that?
30 million.
Because you're making a semantics argument, man. Come on.
It doesn't matter if they say based off the best evidence that we have. I mean, it's implied that based off the best evidence we have today, because if they didn't have evidence for it, they wouldn't be saying it. Once they get better evidence, they will say, they will adjust it. They will refine it. They will fine tune it and get as accurate as they possibly can. Sort of like how Zero just explained with when he was talking about, calculating the speed of light. When Isaac Newton did all that he did, it was some things he didn't know. He didn't know nothing about subatomic particles. Einstein came along and added to it, and then our knowledge expanded. Somebody else is going to come along and figure out some more shit, and is going to add to it. And then with Einstein figured out
long after we are dead and gone.
But what the
our lifetime, these individuals are not going to say this is our best guess. They're going to present it as if it is definitive truth.
The moral of
But
the
you
story
cannot-
is that we get more and more precise. You wanting to hear them say
Right.
this isn't the absolute 100% definitive truth because
Well-
more data
well,
may come.
it-
Hold on.
well-
SKC, I'm about to explain it. The reason you want them to say that this isn't the absolute 100% definitive truth because more data might come in the future because you want to take the liberty to plug your God into that gap of knowledge. That's all you're doing right now.
Right.
That's not true.
Why
That's not
doesn't
true.
why doesn't
What-
theism say a bunch of crazy people wrote all these stories and put it in a big ass book?
I would think some of them do. I don't know.
No, they don't say that. They say these stories
you're
are
being
absolute.
disingenuous.
But what I'm saying is this: how can you stand on the whole thought of, you know what, this is much better than, I guess, this competing theory, which I'm not holding up, and then say at the same time we're being objective, all while at the same time not just being totally transparent and saying, hey guys, with the tools that we have right now, this is what we actually,
because for two
What is
reasons.
the objectivity?
For two reasons.
because you are the one that put the thought up in front, saying the whole system of scientists stand on the whole idea that we don't know everything, everything that we're trying to learn is somewhat inaccurate at the moment. But
Once again, the default.
That's
if
why
that- if
scientists.
that- if
That's why
that's what you put
scientists.
forward,
SKC.
then
That's why.
why don't you put that forward in everything that you do?
Because
That's why
because science
scientists
accepts
are
the correct.
still working. They're
Sci-
working. They don't stop working. They're at the drawing board. They live at the drawing board. They don't have to
Right.
explain that they're still working. There's always going to be doing science. Just like the science that you pulled out that showed that the tree of life is sort of more like a web down at the microbial level. You
But
know,
see, that's
it's-
my whole thing. Like
Yeah.
people like you require y'all require that crutch.
Can I
You can't
jump?
live without it.
Can I
You
jump?
require that crutch of religion or some type of thing, higher power hanging over logic, reason, and mathematics in order to fucking survive.
Okay.
That's the thing. You need
Can
that hope.
Angry Man, can I please let me try to
Can I
jump in?
jump in here since you guys and the chat room is like trying to jump SKC?
No.
Yeah.
Let me just say this real quick, and I'll hand it to you. Take me less than 15 seconds.
Because I want to point something out. A great deal of science is theory.
Yes, that's
Okay.
understood.
Theory.
That's understood.
It's
So-
just in that sense, it is just as fucking relevant as a fucking children's story. Or
No, it's not. No, it's not. Number one, I'll say there's two things. I'll say these two
let him
things.
lay it out. Let him lay it out.
Because
Let him lay it
theology
out.
accepts-
Let him finish.
Hold on,
Theology
judge.
bases absolute
Let him lay it out.
Check this out. I don't give. We're human beings. We're basically motherfucking animals that can fucking talk.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna sit here and tell me something more legitimate because you have a bunch of institutions behind it and they give you a fucking piece of paper with a shiny gold thing on it.
That's not the argument I'm making or ever made.
You're getting ready to go into a whole rant about how definitive a theory is.
It's not a rant if it takes 15
It's not
seconds.
definitive. It's a theory. It means somebody came up with it based upon an educated guess, right?
Not exactly.
Are you being? Is this rhetorical? Or do you
I
actually?
will add a series of educated guesses.
Okay, so the point
No.
again, the point I will make, and I'll answer your question. The point I will make is again, theism bases upon absolute, that what it says is the absolute truth. Science is up for correction. It accepts correction. And
Right.
number two, the position that he's arguing is he's negating the fact that education is progressive. Education is progressive, specifically on how to learn things and the age at which people learn things. You can't teach
Hey,
somebody
Judge,
calculus at
Judge.
5 years old.
Religion. I'm
Say
not
that again.
argument for religion. I'm not saying that's definite.
You're saying the two competing theories, and those are the two competing theories.
What I'm
There
saying
it is.
What I'm saying is that the same way religion is up for debate, so is a goddamn theory.
Thank you.
That's the
Yeah.
basis of science.
Right.
Thank
That's
you.
but that's science's default position. And to
Right.
answer SKC's question in the back chat, why can't the tools today re-engineer the mechanism of natural selection? Because you don't have to. You can see natural selection happening in the world.
Right. They argue about it all the goddamn time in the manosphere.
I'm
Exactly.
I'm not a religious zealot. So I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that it definitely was Christianity or it definitely was Islam or it definitely was this or definitely was that. What I'm trying to say is that we don't know for a definite fact that every last scientific tool we use to measure this or study that is perfected. That's the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make.
We agree.
That was stated. That was already stated.
But you can't achieve perfection. Once you achieve perfection, you achieve stasis, and once you achieve stasis, you achieve death. You can only pursue perfection. There's no such thing as perfection.
Where is it? Okay, let's reset real quick. So, all right, let's look at objectivity and subjectivity, right? Because that's what we're looking at right now. We like to say that science is just as subjective as theism. And it's not. So when something is objective, it's true whether you agree with it or not. Like that's really the point. When something is subjective, it is open for interpretation. It can be true depending on what you believe. That's theism. This is why, again, you can read the same book. A million people can read the same book and come to different conclusions or different interpretations of that book.
No.
In science, there is no.
About certain
hold on a second.
Anthropology.
There is no interpretation. With mathematics, 1 + 1 = 2. That's the thing. So what science tries to do is express everything that it's trying to explain in terms of mathematics. Now, the more precise the tools get, the more precise the math gets. For instance, because of the atomic clock, we can literally calculate the speed of light to the exactness. Now, the thing about the exactness is the interpretation there is if you're going in like miles per hour, meters per second, whatever the fuck you want to do it. But the fact of the matter is the calculation of it, the constant, is exact and it's objective and it's true whether you believe it or not. That's what science tries to get to. Theism does not at all.
Okay. Foremost.
Go ahead, Angry Man.
First and foremost, okay. Number one, you're talking about science, right? Science can't even fucking explain how the goddamn pyramids were built. Them bitches were built how long ago?
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Say what you get ready to say.
I can go through the anthropology.
Deconstruct your own question.
No, we don't.
Deconstruct your own question.
One at a time. Go ahead, Zero. You was about to jump in. You tried to get in first. Go ahead.
No, like I get where he's going with it. No, we don't know how the pyramids were built. We don't have blueprints. We don't have records on how and all the rest of it.
Why not?
But we know how to build pyramids.
We're supposed to be a more advanced, not the way they built. We're supposed to be more advanced than them. So how is it we
here's the thing. We could build a pyramid now.
Right.
Not the way they built it.
It doesn't matter. We can build better ones.
Matter.
Right.
It does matter.
We can build better ones.
It does matter. It does matter.
We can build better ones.
We can build better pyramids right now.
And we also can reproduce food, but the food isn't as nutritious as the way motherfuckers did it back in the day.
You have no way of knowing that.
You have no way of knowing that.
What do you mean you don't know that?
There's no way of knowing that.
Can you actually can you take vegetation samples from back then to compare them to vegetation samples of today?
You can look.
You have to understand that plants have to evolve just like us.
The difference between food now compared to fucking 50 years ago, 20 years ago.
You have to understand that plants evolve just like us. They had to fight off bacteria and become
go.
Well, so
now you're
quantify that.
You're starting to sound like religious motherfucker.
No, you're making an assertion that's impossible to prove.
You are the same.
You're making an assertion that's impossible to prove.
The same way a fucking theologist will move the goddamn goalpost.
You're not moving the goalpost.
At this point, you're doing it right now.
No.
You just ask. Look, okay, angry man.
So a GMO. So
the two questions that you just asked make.
Wait. So a GMO is better than some food that was grown in soil that wasn't polluted.
No, I would say organic and heirloom varieties are better.
You're moving the goalposts with GMO.
Yeah, thank you.
What I'm saying is,
I'm a gardener.
just like people.
Wait a minute. How am I moving the goalposts when I'm solidifying my point?
Because you're bringing GMOs.
Because and I'm saying you're talking to a gardener, so
what we're
that's
talking
incorrect.
about is basically like, just like all life has to evolve, you have to fight off diseases and bacteria and all the rest of it. Plants
I'm not a gardener, fam. I learned how to garden when I was a freaking kid.
Okay.
Let me say this one more time. Just like all life has to evolve on the planet, plants have to do the same thing. They have to fight off bacteria and all the rest of it over time. So they develop a tolerance to the same types of shit. They also, new bacteria and shit is also introduced to plants. And if we consume this shit, we also are exposed to these same types of things. So we're evolving along with the plants that we consume and whatnot. So there's no way to quantify. Hold on. There's no way to quantify that food was better back in the day, because again,
not true.
Over time, everything is evolving.
Not only that, look. Agriculture, by its very nature, changes the food because it selects the most viable. Corn doesn't look like corn before it's manipulated by human beings.
Number one,
nor do tomatoes.
First of all, not being able to quantify whether or not food was better back in the day than it is now, that's a lie. That can be quantified.
How is a lie? You present how food was better and how you can definitively prove that.
Number one, you could look at the general health of human beings. You can look at the
you're just saying what they consumed. That's the advent of sugar.
You said what?
Well, we live
that's
longer.
The advent of processed sugar
today. Well, we live longer today.
Yes.
We live longer today. We live longer today because of our medicine, not because of our diet.
Well, I mean, I'm not on medicine every day.
Kill me with this shit talking to people like they morons, man. Y'all,
again, see, you're projecting again.
No, you're moving the goal. I'm not projecting shit. Don't run. Look, first of all, Judge, I've
never talked to you like you were a moron, Angry Man. You know that. We've talked
many times. All right.
Wait a second, fam. I'm not a chick. I'm not projecting shit. I'm having an intellectual conversation with y'all. Y'all are moving the goalposts. Now, when SKC did it, and you felt like he was moving the goalposts, everybody dived in on his ass. Now y'all are moving the goalposts.
Angry Man. Would you tell us what we're doing, and we're telling you that's not what we're doing? We're not treating you like you're a moron.
Right.
That is called projection, Angry Man. That's the definition of it.
No, it's not.
Okay, explain the goalpost move. Because I really want to know how
we were talking about scientific method. We were talking about how things are measured. We were talking about all of those different things. I gave an example of something, and then you changed it. You said, "Oh, what was the statement that you said?" Zero.
You said that the food that we eat now is less healthy than the food that was back in the day, and then Judge said you can't quantify that. I backed that up by saying, "Yeah, you can't quantify that because just like people evolve, so did plants."
Okay, now
all life is fighting off bacteria. It's a constant competition.
Now
you brought in the GMOs. That's
no, because originally, well, maybe I should have clarified. When you said we can make pyramids today,
right? We can make better pyramids.
I said not the way they made them back in the day, right?
Right, but that's irrelevant.
When I use the example of food, I'm using the example of how back in the day, we grew food a certain way. Today, we make GMOs, which is more efficient, but not better. Does it make sense now?
Okay.
Better is a qualitative term.
Wait.
GMOs began with the advent of agrarian culture. Okay, GMOs began.
I was trying to talk to you real quick.
Is moving the goalposts.
I was trying to talk to you real quick. So again, you can't quantify better. When you say we built pyramids back in the day and we don't know how we built them, but we can build pyramids, how do you quantify better? Those pyramids are dilapidated. If we built the pyramid today, it would likely last longer than the pyramids we built back in the day because we just have better tools and better material.
Wait a minute. You just get through a few minutes ago. Didn't all of you just get through a few minutes ago saying that the scientific method and the tools we have are better. How are you quantifying better?
A hammer is better than a rock.
Because yes.
Okay, then. So here's a way to quantify
technology.
better. You just said
you can qualify it forward, but you can't qualify it backwards because we're not there. You're trying to argue from a negative.
Okay, I just qualified a hammer is better than a rock.
Hold on. Let Angry Man go.
Wait. You just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to repeat it verbatim. You said there's no way to quantify better.
No.
Or that pyramid.
That is what you said. Rewind the shit.
I know what you're doing. You're playing the semantic shit.
All
right.
You're doing.
I know exactly what you're doing. Okay. You cannot quantify that pyramids were better back in the day because we can build a pyramid now as well.
But you can quantify that your scientific method is better than it was back in the day.
A hammer is objectively better than a rock.
Talking about a hammer.
I'm just saying a hammer is objectively better than a rock.
Statement when you made the statement that you can't quantify better, you didn't use a hammer as an example. You made a broad.
Judge Zilla used a torque wrench as an example. Okay, a torque wrench gives me a more exact tightness on a bolt, for example, than a hand wrench.
I also used an arrow, a bullet, a missile, and a rail gun.
Oh my God, this is bullshit.
That's the thing. Okay,
they're all better. They're all one step. They're all orders of magnitude better than the one previous to it.
And by the way, for the record, if you built the goddamn pyramid today and let that motherfucker just sit, it would not last as long as the pyramids in fucking Giza. That's bullshit.
You're making a definitive statement.
Bullshit. See, y'all are talking crazy now. Part of the
you're speaking in absolutes on something that you can't. You absolutely cannot define or justify.
Part of the reason that the pyramids of Giza are considered one of the wonders of the fucking world is because of what was available to them to build that, which means evidently they were fucking smarter than us if you need new tools to build it today.
There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence because by that logic, everything that was built at that time would still be standing today. That's bullshit.
Your own statement circles down into itself.
Because they would be employing the same construction methods on everything that they built, so everything would still be standing.
We make better pyramids because there's a better pyramid that is 250 fucking stories in the air in Dubai.
Right now, check this out.
And today we also build taller buildings. We also actually build taller buildings today.
If you were to create the majority of everything we create today, if it's set there for a month, it would be fucked up. The majority.
Quantify that, please.
The majority of stop asking me to quantify shit. Y'all got common sense, right?
You're just assuming you're saying
common sense isn't.
No. We do have common sense.
You're stating it
That's
as
why
if
we're
it's a
asking you to
fact doesn't make it a fact.
Yeah, you're just saying it.
If you have a fucking car, if you have a goddamn car, which is advanced compared to back in the fucking day, if you let that motherfucker sit for 5 years, what is it gonna do?
But that car will live longer than a horse or a camel.
Not talking about a horse or a camel. Stop moving the goddamn goalposts.
It's the same. It's the equivalent justification.
If you left the car sitting for 5 years, who fucking knows? It might start up. Who knows?
I have a legit answer to that. Hold on one second. Let me flip the light on. Let me cam up real quick. All right, so check this out. You see this racing cart that I'm restoring right here? So this is an older shifter cart, right? Now it's been sitting for years. Okay. And when I restore it, this thing will be back to original running condition. But guess what? It won't be able to do. It won't be able to beat the new shit.
Has it been sitting for thousands of years?
No, it's been sitting for about 15.
Okay, then.
Real quick. Ray Clemens.
I don't understand how that.
It doesn't really matter. There's newer shit.
Ray Clemens. Hold on. Ray Clemens, thank you for that super chat. I appreciate that. And you raised a really good point about scientific theory, how the scientific theory is different from what we just casually say when we're talking about a theory. So good point on that one. But we move way past that. But thanks for the super chat. All right, y'all go ahead.
Well, the thing is, Angry Man, you're making statements. And you're making statements saying things like, let a car sit for 5 years and then see what happens as if it won't start up. There's no way to know that.
You're making statements.
I'm not making any statements.
No,
like that.
I can give you actual experience because see, I've worked on older carts and newer carts, and I know that newer carts are just inherently faster because there's been better technology applied to them. I can verify this. I got the receipts, bro.
You know, I like Angry Man's. Oh, go ahead, Angry Man. I mean,
Angry Man, what you're
do with what I'm talking about. You know
okay, the example that you presented.
When you have a discussion with somebody and they try to inject some shit that they're doing just to talk about it, that has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
It's called empirical data. It's called evidence. It's called proof.
No, it's not.
The argument that you presented.
You can show me that something you built
because
today.
I apply engineering principles to this, so there's math behind this.
I can simplify. We have non-biodegradable material nowadays. One of those non-biodegradable material, we can look at styrofoam, but styrofoam isn't strong enough to support a fucking pyramid. We have other non-biodegradable material like carbon fiber. If we were to make a pyramid out of carbon fiber, it would fucking sit there in perpetuity.
If you made it out of graphene, it would do the same thing. If you did it out of graphene, it would do the same thing.
Right, but but again, this is because these materials are available to us now. Again, better tools.
Let me ask you a question, Zero. What material did you just say?
Carbon fiber.
Do we make houses out of carbon fiber?
No, we don't. That's not the point. We could make a pyramid out of one.
Why not?
Because it's too expensive. It would be too expensive.
Hold on. Wait. 1 second. You accused us of moving the goalposts. This is what you just did. You just moved the goalposts. So again, because we have non-biodegradable material, if you want a pyramid to stand in perpetuity, you just build it out of carbon fiber and sit it there.
So
the tools are better.
What does that have to do with the Egyptians? With whatever knowledge they had, whatever tools they had, building something like that back then that has lasted this long?
Again, we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know, and it doesn't matter because we can do the same thing now.
The point that I've been trying to make since the beginning of this discussion in reference to science is you do not know if your method of science is better than the method back in the day. You don't know that.
Okay,
right,
what are we? Okay, wait, real quick. What are we measuring as better? Because better needs measurements. Better is too subjective.
Right.
What are we measuring?
Yo, check this out. If we're gonna have a discussion where we play semantics all goddamn day,
this is not semantics.
Fucking where you know what better means.
And I know, and quantify has a definition too.
Let me put it this way. I'm just gonna assume I'm gonna assume that better means longevity.
What do I need to do? Do I need to pull up?
No, I'm gonna assume right now that better means longevity.
Because y'all keep asking me what better. What do I mean by better? Do I need to pull up the dictionary on
quantify better? What are the metrics?
No, fuck it. He ain't got to quantify better. I'm assuming that he means because it stood for a long ass time. And if we're going by that, then fucking fucking carbon fiber is going to stand forever because it's non-biodegradable. If we're going by that, better. Because it's still standing and we're talking about better in that regard, then yeah, just build the shit out of new material and it's going to stay there forever.
Use carbon fiber in this discussion as far as something being more efficient, because if it's more efficient,
nope, not efficient.
Using that.
Nope, not efficient. Just because the pyramids are still standing, we're going by because the pyramids are still standing. So that means it's been there forever.
Then why is that being presented into this discussion? What I'm talking about is what's being presented. Okay, we build structures that do not last the way the fucking pyramids did, which is also
there's a myriad of reasons for that.
Right.
Oh God, can I finish a fucking sentence?
All right, let him finish. Go ahead, Angry Man.
This is what niggas who are just know their right do. If you know you're right, let me finish my sentence and then you can counter it. But you're talking over me because you're trying to shut me down before I make my point.
Angry Man, you're doing the same thing.
Go ahead, Angry Man. Go ahead and make the point you was trying to make. Everybody chill. Fall back.
Just go ahead and say what you're gonna say, Judge, and Complex. Say what you're gonna say. Y'all are right because science.
Again, Angry Man, you're acting like you're not doing the same thing, man. That's disingenuous.
What am
accusing us of using tactics that are that nature, and not recognizing that you're using those tactics yourself by interrupting others when they try to make their points? Come on, man.
Let me bring this one thing out real quick.
Can I repeat something I said earlier?
You notice this,
not knowing everything.
If anybody has picked up on this at the outset, and I got to throw you in, Bernard. We good, but I got to throw you in. Not myself nor Angry Man brought up anything about religion or whatnot. Now, people threw me in there. I get it, but nobody can put Angry Man in there, and yet it's still being pushed as if you challenge anything that science says.
You're just starting the argument again.
You're crazy.
Yeah,
You're wrong.
He's doing that
You're
troll shit
automatically
again.
off.
I'm gonna tell you what SKC did. He's not gonna give you a position because he doesn't want to put himself in any kind of position to be challenged on his position. So he asks questions in a way where you know what the fuck he's talking about. Like we all speak English. We know what the fuck you're doing. We know what you're talking about. When you were positing these questions, it was basically religion versus science. That to say any other way. No. This is what you were doing.
And he's not.
No. He came into the conversation while it was on that.
So
but for you to try to act like that's not what you're doing is bullshit.
So how do you explain that he asked some of the same?
No, he came into
he
the
does
conversation.
not hold that view.
He was listening. So again, we know what you were doing. So for you to try to frame it the way you just framed it, where we weren't talking about this or whatever, no, that's bullshit.
Wait a minute. What does me listening have to do with the fact that my position is not from the standpoint
this nigga done put us in the troll bag?
Thank you.
What does me listening have to do with the fact that I'm not defending the position of religion? I'm not
saying you're defending.
I'm not defending the position of religion. What I'm trying to point out is in this modern age, science is your religion.
Science is not a religion. I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. Science defaults to the position of not knowing everything.
But religion also is from the position of not knowing everything.
Negative.
Explain that. Hold on. Explain that, Angry Man.
Say it, Angry Man.
Explain that one.
In the good book that you call the Bible, in Revelations, it says certain things will happen at the end of times and the mystery of God will be no more.
Okay.
Now see that?
There you go.
Let me explain it. Hold on, real quick. Hold on, zero. Let me put it to Angry Man.
The Bible has laid out definitively that God is a mystery.
What?
Okay, but
what do you mean what? I can show you prediction. I can show you several instances in the Bible where it talks about that.
Well, science isn't about God. Science is about the world, the universe.
But hold on.
Make a prediction like that is assuming that you know.
Wait a minute. Who says science? What the hell? We just shift gears, bro. Y'all asked me a question. You said something about science. The position of science is that you don't know everything. Right. The position of religion is that you don't know everything. In religion, it says God knows
everything about God.
See. See that shit? Finish a goddamn point. That's what people do. That's what
you haven't been guilty of the same fucking thing. Man, come on.
Hold on, man.
When they know you about to make a valid point.
I want to make the point. I just want to challenge the fact that when you predict something, you are making an assumption that you already know.
If the words in the Bible are written down in the Bible, and the Bible is said to be the word of God, and the word of God can't be changed, then whatever is written in the book is put down by Theot that is what it is, and it can't be argued with whatever was said in there. Yes, it's some vague and some parables and some metaphors and some things that are open for interpretation, but science don't have that. Everything in science is on the chopping blocks that can get taken that can get picked apart.
Science will tell you.
Did you just interrupt him?
I was done. I was done. Come on, Judge. Come on, Judge. Cut it out. I was done.
He was actually done. I heard him actually finishing. I mean, if we're gonna get petty, we can get real petty.
No, we ain't going there.
We'll kill it off. We'll keep it.
Oh, Judge, fall back. Fall back.
No,
Judge.
I'm apologizing. I am apologizing.
Okay, cool.
I am apologizing.
Cool.
Angry Man and I, we've had many conversations. We've never had beef. We've talked before.
We're never gonna have beef, Judge. It's a heated debate. It is what it is. But the point that I'm trying to make is that is there or is there not certain things that science speaks of, but you can't see it?
Yes.
Okay. The same way that in science, there are certain things that you know are there, but you can't see it. The Bible speaks about predictions. It's the what do they call it? Belief is the proof of things not seen, or the faith of things not seen. That's science. It's the same thing.
Well, with science, the things that we can't see, you got SKC, your uh-ohs do not carry as much weight as you think.
They're fucking empty, bro.
Yeah, those are the most empty uh-ohs ever.
Yeah, good job, SKC. You got us in the troll bag. But the thing is, we can say a bunch of shit like that. In the absence of proof, belief becomes the truth. Like that type of shit.
But hold on. More importantly,
science has always taken the position that we don't know everything.
And again, let me ask you this.
Things that we don't.
Let me ask Zero this. Did you grow up in a religious household?
Yes.
Okay, so you read the Bible?
Yes.
There is nowhere in the Bible where it says man knows everything. We're talking about man, right? We're talking about scientists. We're talking about scientists. We're talking about men. We're talking about men saying that they do not know everything from the position of science, right? Religion does not claim that man knows everything.
Bernard, can you repeat what you said about the word and the Bible can you repeat that?
I said something to the sorts that if there's a holy book written by the creator of the universe, and if the creator of the universe is an all-knowing being, an all-knowing, all-powerful being, what is written in that book can't be challenged. Therefore, I don't think you can compare religion to science, because science, which is done by man, and a man can be wrong and can be proven wrong by a man who did better science. Oh, really? But we can't go into the Bible and prove and say this is wrong. Like you can't disagree with the Bible.
So then why is it every time you look up, science is actually verifying certain stuff that come from religion?
But like I said earlier in the show, you throw enough spaghetti against the wall, some of it going to stick. Religion was right about some things, they were wrong about other things. Right. Based off some interpretation.
Everybody in here that's in the position, that's on the position of science, they didn't discover the God particle.
Zero.
What is that? What's the significance of that question? Hold on. Wait. What's the?
No, that can't even be fucking validated. It can't even be verified. So no.
And they call it a God particle. They call it a God particle just for theater.
Wait a minute. Oh, so now, because I'm pointing out the discovery of the God particle, now science has a theory.
No, when they okay, one, let's hold on, Zero, hold on real quick. They call it the God particle for theater. I mean, that is not really saying we've discovered God in the form of a particle. They do that just to be provocative when they call it the God particle.
They've also actually discovered the existence of what we call the spiritual world.
I don't know nothing about that one.
Yeah.
No discovery of the God particle. There's just some fucking dude who said it. Like, there's a theory of the God particle.
So Zero. So basically, what you're doing is cherry picking. You know, people do that in religion too.
You brought up the God particle.
Do that in religion too. They cherry pick. They take the good book and they say, "Well, I believe in this part of it, but I don't believe in that part of it."
I'll use
Numerous scientists.
Higgs
There
boson.
are numerous scientists.
I'm not going to use the God particle. I'm going to
Well, I
use
was
the
gonna say
Higgs.
we could use. Go ahead, Zero.
So we're going to sit here now and we're going to pretend like numerous scientists have not come out and acknowledged the existence of the God particle.
That is a
Wait a minute.
marketing
What about
device.
wait, hold on. What about the scientists? What about the scientists who postulate simulation theory? A completely opposing concept. What about that?
I have an answer for that. All that is a different religious sect.
Wait, please, because we keep moving.
No, SKC it's more like a competing theory, and one of them is going to win and one of them is going to lose, and the losers in science have to concede the point that they lost. They do it all the time.
There is no fucking there is no God particle right now. It's a theory. There's no God particle. Also, it's called the Higgs boson particle. They just call it God particle like Bernard said in fucking theater. There's
it is Higgs boson. He's correct.
Exactly, and it's just a fucking theory. It's just a theory.
Sir Tice, hold on real quick. I'm all behind on my super chats. Hold on real quick, Anchorman. You got it next. Sir Tice, thank you for the super. Jalen Roddy came through the super chat, says you need faith to believe in the Bible and to believe in the theory of evolution. Only one is force fed to children in schools. Why is that? Because one of them. That is not a fucking man. Holy shit.
We're skipping over shit. What we're skipping over is I brought up the freaking God particle. Now we're gonna say, it's called the hexagon book, so they don't also call it the God particle.
I'm just
Yes,
making
as a marketing device and a layman's term.
I'm not full of shit for using that term, right?
Oh no, you're not wrong for using that term. I think. Hold on, Zero. Hold on, Angry Man. You're not full of shit for using the term. I just think when it sounds like you use it in the context saying that. Because you were saying that science keep proving stuff that's in the Bible, then you reference something else, then you reference the God particle, as if the casual observer thinks that means science has somehow proven or found God or something like that. So I was just making it clear that that they just use that to be provocative when they call it the God particle. That's like the nickname for it.
And that too is like the particle, if proven to be like existing, would be like the thing that it would be the particle that creates everything. Basically, it would you be able to explain how the universe expanded after the Big Bang and all of that. So again, I don't even take a position on the shit. This is why I always ask, what's the difference between a Big Bang and let there be light? And when people say there is none, there is no difference.
Meaning is the difference.
Exactly. So
here's the problem. Here's the thing.
You have two sides. Some people need the figure with the gray beard, the fucking sky genie, to tell them that everything is everything. And then you have the other side that does not need that and is trying to figure out exactly how the shit happened. That's all it is.
No, you have instead of having a sky genie with a gray beard, you got a wild-haired, white-haired genie.
No, yeah, math.
Like, let's be real about this shit.
Oh, math.
Math.
There's no figure. So again, one side has the figure, one side has the math.
So you can prove definitively the theory of relativity.
No.
It's a theory.
About?
No.
Then what are you talking about? What are we talking about?
No, I'll say this. Not yet.
Hold on, I just said so we don't go off track again.
Here's the thing. This is the problem I have with this discussion. If you're going to stand on scientific theory, stand on it. But don't turn around and want to discount scientific theory when it validates my point.
I'm going to repeat what I just said.
That's what you just did. I brought up the God particle, and you went into a whole bunch of shit about it being bullshit.
Repeat what I just said.
That's
There's no difference between let there be light and the Big Bang.
Says
the
you.
only difference is one side needs a figure and the other side does not.
Not true.
There's no way for you. There is absolutely no way for you to prove that.
Okay. I'm gonna repeat what I just said one more time.
It's conceptual.
Hold on, Judge, because this is the problem. We keep getting thrown off track. Again, there is no difference between let there be light and the Big Bang. Again, the only difference is the people that need let there be light needs a figurehead.
There is no way.
Other side does not.
There is absolutely no way. The same way there is no way for a religious person to prove to you the existence of God, there is no way for you to prove that.
Thank you.
I'm going to repeat what I just said because I'm not even talking about proof. What I said was
about
both require faith.
There is no difference.
They're both faith-based.
And the Big Bang. There's no difference.
As far as you know, look, here's the thing. As far as you know, this universe could have been destroyed and recreated numerous times.
Yes.
You don't know. This is the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
This is the point.
But this is why I keep repeating what I'm saying, because it's almost like you're looking for an argument.
No, I'm not looking for an argument. Wait. No, see, here's the thing. Y'all have been making a point this entire time. But the funny thing about it is I'm the only one that is actually being that point at the moment. You said that science lets you know that we don't know everything. I am arguing the point that we don't know everything. And y'all are mad at me for arguing that point.
No,
that was
what's happening at all.
We know everything.
That is not what's happening at all.
Oh my God.
That's exactly what's happening. What I'm doing is I'm challenging every single theory that y'all are bringing up, and y'all are telling me that, nah, I can't challenge that.
That's not what's happening.
Thank you.
You haven't challenged it. Okay.
Their theories are fundamentally.
Right now, he's just trolling. He already got us in a
No, I'm not. I'm actually not trolling, Zero. It's just funny to me how when anybody brings up a challenge to scientific theories, individuals get crazy. They get crazy.
I am not trolling. I said specifically, you do not know for a fact that scientific theory that we currently have is the best theory or the best method. I said that.
It's the best
proof. That is proof of what you just got through saying, which is in science, we admit that we don't know everything, which means if a better method comes along, it will replace the old method. Yes or no?
Right. And when I say quantify better, you go into like, why do we have to quantify better? That's the thing. You do have
Angry Man, I already stated that over 90 minutes ago.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And again, every time, and when you say things like that, and we say quantify better, you get upset about it by why do I have to quantify better? You do.
Wait, hold on. Wait, there, I don't.
Number one, you said you can't quantify better.
No, we've been asking you to quantify better when you implied that things of old were better than the things of today. We said quantify that. How?
Let's chill with the revisionist history. Zero.
Well, we need to actually examine what we're talking about here because that actually is relevant to what we're talking about. So yeah.
You gonna talk? You gonna finish talking for me?
I'm just finished. I just finished.
You gonna finish speaking for me?
I just finished. Yeah,
go ahead. You got it, Angry Man.
Say what I'm saying now. Am I allowed to say what I'm saying to Zero?
You got it.
I mean, is this tag team WWF? After I say what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna tag in SKC. Like, stop ganging up on people in here. Zero said you can't quantify better. He said that verbatim. I didn't say you can't quantify better. I said the word better, and he said, how do you quantify better? You can't quantify better. He said that verbatim.
I did, because you were talking about the pyramids were better back then, and I said quantify that. You can't quantify that. So if you're gonna quantify that, we need something to quantify that. Let's use the pyramids for example. Let's use
something. I gave you.
Well, okay.
Let's use the pyramids, for example, right? Let's go back to that. So if we're going to quantify better, what are we using as the measuring stick? Are we saying because of the long life, because they lasted this long, or what? Because if we go by that, then better material is going to last longer.
We're using the longevity compared to the things that we have today that do not seem to last because of numerous reasons.
Okay. Now, if we're going by that, we could and we can build pyramids that'll last forever just by using better materials that are non-biodegradable. That's the thing. See, that's where I was going with it. This is why when we have a conversation, it helps to just think about that type of shit.
And I get what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say, and if I say this, you're going to say I'm moving the goalpost, but I have to point this out. Part of being better when we're quantifying this is not only the tools that you're using, how effectively you use them, but the actual what?
He agreed with you.
The actual choice to do it. Okay. So when I'm talking about better, I'm talking about all the way around. So if we come back to present day, and then you say, well, we can use this material and this material would last through the ages. And then I ask you, well, do we use that material? No.
We do use carbon fiber.
So you're looking at a group of people back in the day that had the wherewithal or the foresight to use a material that they knew was going to last. And here we are in our advanced civilization, and we're too stupid to use a material that's going to last.
Well, I have a question. Okay, so hold on 1 second. Let's finish this conversation. So, all right, like for instance, we said we're too stupid to do this and that. So first of all, when they're building these pyramid monuments to like fucking dead pharaohs and shit, though it's purpose built for whatever that society was going through at that time. First of all, do we have a reason to build a pyramid nowadays? Because again, we can right now build a pyramid that'll fucking last forever.
One, it depends on what you're building the pyramid for, because we don't even know why they built those.
Are they still functional?
We don't even know why they built those. We don't know.
We do know why some of the pyramids were built. We do.
We don't know if they're still functional or not.
No, we do know why some of the pyramids were built. We do know.
Why were they built?
We know why, because we have dead people buried in them with all of their stuff.
See,
their giant coffins.
No.
Some of them. I said some of them.
No. You know what?
You gotta be kidding me.
You can just stop the discussion now, because that's bullshit. So you think
let him explain why? Explain. Whoa. Explain why it's bullshit. Let him explain.
You think because you found a sarcophagus in there with treasures, you thought it was a burial tomb?
No, not a sarcophagus with treasures. I said a dead people in there buried with all their shit, including all of their servants, all of their pets, all of their family. They were giant coffins. Even if they weren't giant coffins, they were by definition monuments.
No, they were not.
Yes, they are.
Okay, like you're speaking definitively. What were they?
See, if we start going into that, we're going to end up going into the weeds. Y'all already don't want to have a conversation.
Are they functional? Do they work right now? I mean, can we use them?
Y'all already don't want to have a conversation about religion, so we're not going to go into all of that.
Are they functional? Can we use them? What application do they have?
Let's define some terms, please. When I said monument, I said it definitively because they are fucking monuments. Okay. Yes. It's a monument is a big ass structure that is built to basically commemorate or distinguish or whatever the fuck it is you do to put something there for something or an event, a person, doesn't matter what the fuck it is. It's there as a place marker.
First of all, number one, the position of those pyramids on this planet. The actual geography of it.
Okay, that's irrelevant to the definition of monument.
See what I mean? I just sat here and listened to everything you fucking had to say.
No, you didn't. I didn't even finish.
Didn't finish.
You know what? Go ahead, man. You go ahead and explain. Get it off.
Go ahead, so you can finish telling me it's a goddamn.
No, it is a monument. When you started about like the positioning of it, that is irrelevant. A monument is a monument is a monument.
Which is by far the dumbest shit in existence. Anybody that's an Egyptologist will tell you there are numerous ways that Egyptians were buried. Numerous ways. The ones that are in the pyramids are there for a specific, significant reason.
Right, and it's still a monument.
And that significance to today is
going into the
no, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I get it. It's still a monument.
Okay.
The pyramid.
Right, at the end of the day, it's a monument.
The pyramid is a monument.
Fair enough. If I start going into the goddamn weeds about the motherfucking afterlife and what the motherfucking Egyptians believe, you're gonna tell me it's bullshit and all that.
No, we're gonna tell you that it's a monument.
Fuck
no, we're
afterlife.
gonna tell you it's a monument.
Fuck the afterlife. Fuck all of that. What I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying, man. The pyramid is a monument. It is a monument by definition. We can go from there, but it is a monument.
I think it could be both and. I think it's a both and thing. I think both of y'all are right. I think what Angry Man is about to describe in the religious sense is absolutely right. They going through all that probably for some, you know, the pyramid, burying them in there may help them pass through to the afterlife better or some bullshit. But it's also a monument too.
Yeah,
so right. I'm just trying to get past
both. I think both are. It's a both and.
It's a bunch of like, okay, number one, the problem, I cannot sit here and give you a definitive, the Egyptians did this because of this. There's a bunch of different theories about it, okay? But the one thing that you know about the pyramids is that they had a significant purpose, and it wasn't just for burial. That's the point I'm trying to make. It wasn't just for burial. There was a significant purpose for those pyramids. Now, whether that purpose actually works or doesn't work, we don't know that because we don't know how to use the motherfuckers.
And no one argued that either. We're just saying that and today it's a monument. Yeah. It's
Agreed.
Monument,
now, again, to the point of the conversation, that's pretty much off topic. What we're talking about is the fact that there's a monument, and that monument can be recreated with better tools, and it'll last fucking forever. That was the whole point. I don't really care about any of that other shit going into the weeds with like what the significance of it was. It is a monument.
But here's the thing. You look at the pyramids and you look at how long they've been there. You look at the Sphinx, you look at how long it's been there, right? Then you turn around and you look at Mount Rushmore. They still have to maintenance that motherfucker. Okay? The point that I'm trying to make is that it appears to me, based upon historical research, that the way the Egyptians did certain things was vastly more advanced than how we do shit today. That's the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is, how do we know the way we do shit today is advanced? How do we know it's not a degeneration?
Well, can I feel this?
Go ahead, Judge.
Hold on, real quick. Hold your thought, Judge. Golden Eagle, thank you for those 2 super chats. I think you just double backed on me with 2 20-piece super chats back to back. You just got yourself a wrench if you don't got one already. Thanks, I appreciate that. He says we need Shaka Amos, the brother Reggie from the House of Consciousness on this topic.
No,
we don't.
Okay, cool.
No.
I'm gonna take y'all word. I don't even know who they are, but I'm gonna take you.
Oh God, no.
Because I'm trying to keep it in the realm of science. I don't want to go into the mystical and all of that shit. No, we don't need that.
All right, glad y'all agree on something. He said, "Get brother." I don't even know who this is, but I take it y'all don't want him either. And Young Jay, thank you for the super chat as well. They're monuments to you. They're not monuments. LOL. I suggest y'all study Egyptology and Kemet. I hate when black people say Kemet.
Oh boy.
No, that's all knowledge pollution to me. You can have
there you go.
Whenever anybody say Kemet, I'm done. But anyway.
Yeah, go ahead. You can have it.
But
what about
Judge? You was about to say something, Judge. Go ahead.
Okay. So, Angry Man, I'm going to say this: design incorporates form and function, right?
Uh-huh.
We can agree to that.
Yeah.
So, by the things that we design today, there's a design element called obsolescence.
Yeah.
And so the reason why, there's two reasons why, because efficiency and obsolescence. The reason why we don't build anything like that, because the form of the buildings that we have are not designed to be there for that duration. It's not that we can't, right? I think that we can agree that we can engineer by design and manufacture better pyramids than they built then.
Okay.
Because we don't know of any tool or technology that we've had ever that has gone backwards.
Okay.
Right. Calculators beget supercomputers, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Which comes from an abacus, which comes from whatever came before that.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the position that I'm coming from on that.
That was
so we are in agreement. We're in agreement. That's what I said like 90 minutes ago or more.
Right. That's what we were deep diving on that. How in all actuality, these things are all actually built upon each other. So when we were talking about getting the data from things like astrology, it was like, okay, well, they had to use the tools of the time to compile data based on those tools. Now you springboard off of that. And then what happens is that you may springboard a couple thousand years, and then you get to a point where now you have an almanac, a farmer's almanac, right? Which is essentially based on the rotational patterns of the earth, okay? So you have that. Then you springboard into today. Now you have a fucking app on your phone. It's all predicated. It's all been springboarded off of the other. It's a compilation of data.
But here's the thing. And this is where it gets dicey. What I'm trying to say, Judge made an excellent point. He said the things that we design, we're not designing them to last a certain amount of time, right? And that could also be part of capitalism, designing things so that they don't last, so that they have to be replaced.
Well, yes.
But the point that I'm trying to make is that an evolution for us?
Yes.
Or a step backwards?
No, yes, it is. And the reason why is because, and I said this earlier, see, once you achieve perfection, that's it. You got to look at the definition of what perfect means. That means you can't go any further. So the only thing you can actually do is pursue perfection. So that means that everything has to be built with improvement in mind. That is what drives the evolution of something. As soon as something is perfect, it is in stasis, it is dead.
There's no way to quantify perfection.
Well, but I will say this. Look, I will say this as well. Again,
most people get the
argument of most people get the argument of Darwinism wrong, or the meaning of Darwinism wrong. Darwinism isn't about survival of the fittest, meaning the strong inherit. No, it's about the adaptability. Yep. So by design, when you have the obsolescence planned within these, it's a function of capitalism, yes, but it's also a function of being able to allow a society to adapt faster and quicker than those other modes were available. Right? You can't adapt to a castle without having to completely reconstruct the castle.
But see, here's the thing. I don't believe that we're getting smarter. I believe our technology is getting smarter. I believe as a whole, human beings are getting dumber. So I don't believe we're evolving. I do not believe we're evolving.
Well, we'll have to fundamentally diverge.
That's subjective, right?
I don't either, but for different reasons.
I mean, that's my science. That's my hypothesis. I do not believe that we are evolving. I believe that we are actually, well, I don't want to go into that because that's going to be in the weeds as well. Because I don't believe a lot of the technology we have, I don't believe we invented it.
Oh yeah, that's far up. Yeah, that's in the weeds.
So
we ain't going there. We ain't going there.
Microchip. I don't. I refuse to believe that shit.
I mean, we can. This is easily solvable. No, this is easily. So, base systems, right? Base 2 is a universal number system, universal language. I mean, if you were going to communicate base 2 is the default mathematical number system. That's how everything works. And that's a long time ago. It's efficient as shit because you only have two states to work with, on, off, 1, 0, 1, blah, blah, blah. Other base number systems they allow you to calculate more at one time. You get more bandwidth in the number system, all the way up to base 10, which is what we use because it's the easiest and most efficient for us to count shit. That's what humans use, base 10. We can just keep adding zeros.
But again, for a microchip, you understand transistor radius, right?
Yeah, microchips is base 2. So this is why, like, the alien theory is like, it doesn't matter. So you could argue that base 2 is better than base 10 because computers use base 10 and they're way more efficient than we are at sorting, at arithmetic, especially when it comes to exponent math. But because of the human brain, base 10 is easier for humans to use, and we've made extraordinary advances using base 10 number system in order to get to where we are now.
True.
But again, you could argue that if humans were to convert to base 2 and learn base 2 from birth up to adulthood, we would actually be in competition with computers because we would be able to think that way.
And zero, they are.
But that doesn't matter because we're using a more efficient number system that works with the way our brains work.
Well, zero, they are attempting to do that by educating kids in Common Core, which is essentially algorithmic thinking. They are trying to do that. That's what that's the basic.
Wait, hold on. Angry Man was trying to get in something.
My bad, but go ahead, Angry Man. I just wanted to follow up on that point.
I was gonna say you might want to be careful because here's the thing about science, and this is also the other point that I was trying to make earlier. When you start getting into mathematics, you start getting into physics and equations. What is the equation called that just keeps popping up everywhere? You know the one I'm talking about?
No.
There's an equation that basically it suggests that we're in a damn simulation.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that earlier and last night.
Yes,
I forget. You talking about that wild-haired physicist that thinks we're in a simulation?
Yeah, but it's an equation that just
no. James Gates was.
Oh, complex. We losing you. We're losing you.
James Gates, he was. Oh shit. Okay, hold on.
That when he get to it just stopped. He can't get past. He can't get past that word.
Yeah. YouTube got him locked. But the point I was going to get to with the computer chips, right, Angry Man?
Yeah.
Right. But again, before computer chips, there were transistors.
Yeah.
Cathodes, anodes, diodes, capacitors. Right. Moore's law dictates that technology becomes better and more efficient exponentially, and therefore, the computer that fits in your pocket, right, would have taken up the Empire State's Building, right? But now it doesn't because Moore's law.
Yeah.
Right. So we like that a microprocessor or a computer chip, right? There's no missing link in the architecture. Right? Because batteries because hieroglyphs right show depictions of batteries.
No, but what you do have is you do have a time period of human evolution as far as technology where it's kind of creeping along. You have the steam engine, you have the printing press, you have these little things, and then when you get to a certain time period, you see this explosion in technology.
Yes, because again,
right. That's called the fourth industrial wave.
This is what I'm telling you. That's Moore's law, right? So technology doesn't increase linearly. It doesn't increase linearly. It increases exponentially.
Right.
Right, and that's where.
So, I'll put it to you this way. I'll look at this. If you look at your screen, if you look at your monitor, right?
Yeah.
A linear progression, right, would be from the bottom left corner all the way to the top right corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
But an exponential increase is more like a Nike swoosh reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so that's what you're going to have.
Hear me okay now?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you okay.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of speak to what we're talking about here. So the manifestation of this is the fourth industrial wave, right? That's basically the central theme of the brain trust. That's why we keep digging in on all these types of technologies and shit, is because it's the technologies that's driving Moore's law, right? And with like the ability of things like blockchain applications and shit like that, what it allows, how it allows you to leverage the type of computing power that's coming online, and then the type of computing apparatuses like cloud computing, edge computing, and all that type of shit. See, so as these things all ramp up and develop, like singularly as applications, and then developed together in terms of real world application, guess what happens to the application of it? Just think about Uber, for example, and how quick it nuked the taxi industry. Like, do you know how long it would typically take, let's just say in a prior industrial paradigm, how long it would take to take out something like the taxi industry? You had to fight. You would have such an uphill fucking battle to fight the unions and all that. But guess what nuked all of that? Technology. A fucking app on your phone.
Right, and
Well,
Uber wouldn't have worked. Uber wouldn't have worked without 3G technology.
Well,
Right? If you
hold
tried
on.
to do it analog, if you tried to do Uber analog, it would have failed miserably because the
Would have failed.
technology wasn't available to support it.
All right,
And
yeah, we gotta do a little timeout real quick. Angry Man, you said you was going on at about 1 o'clock, right? I thought you put that in the chat.
I'll probably go in a little while.
Yeah, because I was about to wrap this bad boy up at 1. So
Conversation.
No,
will go-
hey, I gotta get going. I gotta get going, brothers, because I gotta get to work. Hey, it was a pleasure, man, as always.
yeah, this
All right, God
this
bless.
was great. This was great. And for the people that try to criticize, some of the spaces in the manosphere, we be breaking into conversations like this, and we be maintaining over 200 to 300 people, black men having an intelligent conversation about science and religion. So I just want to point that out for people that say you only gotta be talking about pussy to get views and all that shit. This was a good, intelligent conversation. I was glad Angry Man came in to help SKC, because SKC be getting jumped in these conversations when he go to.
SKC's
it's no
The
disingenuous.
only
It's no
reason
problem at
SKC got jumped is because he's put us in the troll bag. Like right now.
Even in that Zero, and I'll say, I know that people all know me as the Manosphere troll. I get that. But when certain more serious highbrow conversations come up, I find it odd that when people say science, if you challenge science in any way, they automatically put you in the bag of, oh, you must believe this, you must believe that. And I thought the whole nature of science
who
was
does
to
that?
challenge it.
Who does that?
Man,
I mean,
The
not
whole
to
nature of
personalize it.
science is supposed to be challenged.
Not to personalize it, but who does that?
Well,
Because
Lord just
again,
did that.
no,
Hey,
see,
we can't
now, here we
even-
go.
In
Well,
this
I have to-
entire
this is why I have to
discussion,
keep repeating
I didn't
shit.
bring up any
I have to
religious
keep
topic
repeating
in this
shit.
entire subject.
I have to keep repeating
conversation.
shit
there's
several
a good
times.
faith challenge. There's something called a good faith challenge, and there's something being called a contrarian, and they are not the same.
Right. But the thing is, I have to keep repeating shit several times because right now you just made an accusation. I ain't do that shit. I'll never do that shit. In fact, I talk about people who do all the time. Like when I do the behavioral analysis is on my channel. Like that shit when people have beliefs, when you challenge people's beliefs, that's when they fucking snap. I don't do that shit. I don't give a fuck about belief at all.
To give you all an example, Zero, and I'm not saying that you do. I'm just saying, not putting a personalization on it. But you remember when Angry Man brought up the whole idea of the pyramids and human beings today not being able to re-engineer what the ancients did and how they were able to accomplish it. Okay, in a sense, I did the exact same thing with natural selection, and y'all went crazy.
You didn't do the same thing.
No,
It can't be re-engineered.
No,
It can't be re-engineered.
Okay, hold on a second.
We
First
don't
of
have
all,
the tools at the time to do that. Yes, you're right.
Okay, so natural selection and building a pyramid are completely different things.
Yeah,
I understand that.
One is a natural phenomenon that you
re-engineering them.
Wait,
that's
but
all I said.
Hold on. One is a natural phenomenon that you can observe in real life. The other is something that happened in the past that you can't see.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to
Both
be
happened in the past.
no.
Oh
It's
my God.
no. It's going to be difficult. I'm actually with Zero on this one. It's going to be difficult to recreate natural selection because one, you would have to literally have your own planet and have a controlled environment where you can study it, and then the exact same events would have to recreate itself in order for you to see natural selection, because it's an organic thing. So it's you can't really recreate that. That's like,
well, they have made little computer programs where they set a bunch of different variables and an environment that they could tweak, and they didn't know what the outcome was going to be, and it was more or less a natural selection process, and they wasn't sure what they were going to get at the end, but in the end they got what they got, and it was, so they can recreate a simulation on a computer, but that's still that's not really it.
But the other thing you're walking into is the observer effect.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the other thing. But let me say this for the record, for everybody watching. I am more on the side of science than religion.
I've always heard you big up science. Always heard that.
Man, getting jumped. You feel me?
Yeah.
I gotta play devil's advocate, but like for me, I've studied numerous religions. But what I've found is science has answered more questions where religion has given me more questions. You see what I'm saying? Like when I read Richard Dawkins' The Selfish Gene, even books like what's the book? Why men don't want directions and women buy more shoes. Even that book, which seems to be satire, but it actually goes into human nature based upon evolution and things of that nature. So I've actually had science answer more questions than it's given. And religion seems to always keep giving you more and more questions and keeping you in a space of not knowing, Yeah. So that's the reason why I said when y'all said that, scientists admit that we don't know everything, religion will keep you in a perpetual state of not knowing some shit.
Right, but the thing is, the default position of religion, whether they want to admit it or not, is that it's absolute. And that's the biggest problem.
It's in the book.
Yeah. Right. No, not that it's in the book, but what Bernard said. So basically, the doctrine comes from a deity, and you can't challenge it.
To be fair, the way it is presented by religious ideologues, it seems like it's a definite thing. But anybody that knows the true core of what religion is, it's faith. It's basically a faith-based system where faith is proof. Is the evidence of things unseen. So it's a dichotomy. It's pretty.
We gotta come. All right, SKC. I'm giving you the last word because you got jumped earlier in the show. So you get the last word, and we got to get out of here.
And I'll agree with Angry Man on that. My formal position, is that I have no problem with science, as so long as it follows the scientific method. When it jumps outside of that method and gets into a series of educated guesses and assumptions and interpretations of various things, I think, okay, you don't have a solid footing to make arguments against, the boogeyman or whatnot, because it's the same thing. So far as the proponent of the religious side of things, no, I don't think that it's set to answer scientific questions at all. It has more to do with humanity and questions towards, in my mind, higher ideals. But science, I don't think, is a tool to answer the questions of why. It's just a tool to answer questions of how.
Well, I'm going to always hedge my bets. You feel me? I'm never going to say that. I'm never going to completely deny the existence of God, because you never know. You might end up in front of them pearly gates.
The covering your ass theory of religion. Basically.
I don't do the cover your ass shit because I don't think a God would care. I don't think a God would care what you believe.
All right, well, we gotta leave it. I gotta be somewhere at 1:30, so we gotta get up out of here. Thanks to Samadou for that super chat. He's asking Angry Man a personal question. I don't know if you want to answer that, but
I'm currently in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
All right. What he means, I don't know.
All right, fellas. All right, but thanks, Osama. Thank you, everybody. We out of here. Peace.
Peace.